What's up, guys, and welcome to another edition of Trash Talk. I'm your host, as always, Richard Lewis, back from a glorious weekend in Sweden, where we had the Fragbite Masters. I'm not going to lie, I'm still pretty fucking wiped out. Spent all day yesterday in Frankfurt Airport, which is basically the second worst airport in Europe after Charles de Gaulle. It is the open, gaping asshole of Germany, with the mantra, you don't have to be a cunt to work here, but it helps. And they have cunts in abundance. So I made it back in one piece. And hopefully that anger at my experiences out there is going to fire me the fuck up to take your calls. Sam, how are you doing, by the way?
Living a dream.
Is that it? Is that all you've got?
Fine. I've just been playing League for like 3 days straight. Got plat 20 minutes before the lock.
That explains why your fucking communication skills are at an all-time fucking low then. Yeah,
I had my soul just ripped apart from me the last 3 days and still trying to recover.
Other than did you hit your goal, by the way? Did you hit what you wanted?
I got plat 5 with 20
Plat
minutes
5.
before it locked.
Well, there you go. You're a plat player. You've
made it.
The ranking system says so, so it must be true. Anyway, lots going on this week in eSports. Definitely not as crazy as it has been, but still pretty fucking crazy. The League of Legends off-season continues. Deft has headed out to China by joining Edward Gaming, and that great exodus that we've talked about continues. But I'm sure someone's got some thoughts about that. Zion Spartan officially joined CLG. Possibly one of the most long, drawn-out and protracted sagas in League history, but it's finally happened. Interesting situation with Fnatic. They are having a terrible off-season. They're all over the fucking place. They're right now fighting to keep Xpeke, who wants to get away and form his own organization. But apparently, he doesn't even want to play with some of his teammates, as it was reported on the German website Summoners Inn. I don't think him and Soaz will be playing together. Who fucking knows? But anyway, Fnatic have got lots to do. Looks like they're going to have to rebuild with not a lot of the off-season left. Voyboy left Curse today and said, don't worry, guys, I'll be streaming. What a surprise. It's almost as if making more money from streaming was starting to maybe make some of the pros that were struggling to find their own level of performance want to quit competitive play or something. I don't know. Should we, you guys do? Call in and tell us about it. And, the biggest drama of all, Sam. Did you see this about Saintvicious?
No, I missed it.
He purposely fed in a solo queue game right at the end of the season.
Fuck me.
Front page of Reddit, boys. That's it. Seriously,
Oh
let's
my
get
God.
the pitchforks, let's get the fucking burning torches, let's get to the old mill, and let's fucking kill this cunt. Because he's gone too far this time. We must put a stop to this. Anyway, that's League of Legends news. What else is going on in StarCraft? Small little thing called BlizzCon. Actually hit by tech problems and an alleged DDoS the entire time. However, while that was going on, Life managed to find a way to win it, and incredible story for the 17-year-old Korean. And of course, Legacy of the Void was revealed. Is it now an alive game? I think we had 107,000 people watching a StarCraft stream at one point. Might even have peaked a lot higher than that. Hearthstone as well with BlizzCon. There was the Gnomes and Goblins first look, and of course the big bad bot clampdown that's been going on. So you're actually starting to play humans now in the higher ranks. Go figure. And of course, Global Offensive. Fnatic won Fragbite, which I was hosting. Again, beating LDLC. I think we can safely say they're the best team in the world right now, but maybe you disagree. There was the iBuyPower coup d'etat, which sees 2 of the big hitters out of the team. And one of those big hitters, Dazed, attempts to sow disharmony among Cloud9 by revealing they are allegedly wanting to kick nothing. If you've got thoughts about that or anything else, you know what you have to do. You just add call.trashtalk on Skype, and Sam will take your call, provided he's able to communicate with you after 3 days of solo queue. Sam, who have we got first?
As always, our first caller is Shiradun, and he wants to talk about reviving and rejuvenizing old esports titles such as the new Halo and the new Smash, and forcing them to be esports rather than letting it happen naturally.
I do like the idea of the word rejuvenizing being a real word all of a sudden. That'd be pretty good.
How are you doing?
Hey, here it is. So it's my good man Ajay Hadun. We're back to calling you that now, are we?
I don't know. I wasn't informed.
Well, it looks like we're back to
Nobody tells me nothing around here.
We're ignoring your name change, dude. We refuse to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
It's quite funny, actually, because there's a guy called Completely Biased who's a sub in this chat, and he says, "Oh, I do hope they get that Southern bloke on." Yeah, Southern apparently.
Southwest. I'm from Bristol. Southwest. It's fair enough.
Yeah. It's kind of fair. And he goes, "I find him most agreeable." So there you go. You are most agreeable.
What a guy. Right. Shall we actually talk about something then?
Yeah, lay it on me, brother.
Right, so we're talking about reviving the dead games. We've got a lot of that going on lately. So first of all, I mean, the Phoenix Light revival, we've had esports problem child, the FGC, come back to the fold. I mean, Smash is blown up in a big way. I mean, we think CSGO's come back, but I think Smash has made a bigger rise. I mean, I was watching Smash tournaments maybe like 4 years ago or so, and if you told me back then that players are going to be picked up by, Complexity and fucking Dignitas. We've got Odee in the chat. I mean, Ryan Hart is currently signed for Dignitas. Back then, he was getting kicked off fucking shit tier organizations like Western Wolves in like a month's time. It was like, you're not making us any money. But yeah, so that's come back. And it's they're doing the exact same thing with Halo. Is that you try to bring back an esport that's been fallen by the wayside a bit, just as you're about to release the new game to try and drum up some interest, and hopefully you can turn that into sales. And I'm really not sure if that's going to work, really.
So can I rain on your parade a little bit?
Go ahead.
Just on the subject of Smash. Well, apart from the fact that Odee just said we don't have Smash, you knob. In
Don't
chat.
have Smash. No, I said FGC's back to esports, but Smash is the game that's blown up the most. He's got Ryan Hart from.
He does. He absolutely does. I've had the pleasure of meeting Ryan a few times. But there you go. So just that wasn't how I was going to rain on your parade, but I just like it when Odee does abuse callers. It's always it's part of the experience now.
Don't worry, I'll be screenshotting that. That's good.
Yeah, it's straight to Riot. We'll try and get. No, I'm just kidding, Odee. We're not going to do that. Don't do that. But whatever. No. Right, but here's how I'm going to rain on your parade. So when it comes to Smash, I can't help but kind of feel that organizations, what they like to do is they like to hedge their bets. And when an e-sport or a game blows up in popularity,
of course,
they bring in the talent, they try and get as best a player as they can for as little money as they can, just in the hope that they've perfectly positioned themselves should it take off. That's the plan. That's the gimmick. Yeah. So Smash got a lot of attention predicated on that documentary, which of course we all know, we've all seen it. We all know how good it is. It was really awesome. Yeah. Probably it's one of the best esports documentaries, if not the best. And I can't help but feel that this kind of Smash movement that we're starting to see, especially in esports terms, might be a little bit artificial. I know that I'm probably going to get shit.
I think it's going to die on its ass myself, mate.
Yeah. Well, why do you agree with that then?
Right. Okay. So we've got the problems with divided communities. We saw that especially with Valve had a good success sorting out the big problem with 1.6 and Source just splitting the community hard and bringing them all on to go. I don't think that Smash is going to manage this with their new game. And I think they've already got a problem that everyone says, Brawl's shit, we don't like it, we want to keep playing Melee. What happens when they say your new game is shit, we want to keep playing Melee? I reckon Nintendo's going to fucking drop them like a stone. Not interested. Oh, remember all that stuff we said about, well, we'll support your esports? We got our CEO in there. They're going to turn their back on them instantly if they feel for even a second that the community's not playing ball. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest here, it's not a company that understands esports.
Yeah,
they're trying to. They say they're trying to tailor their game to the esports. They're saying a few of the cute lines, but really, I mean, this is a game that famously introduced deliberate anti-competitive elements to their game and an ability to kill the esports scene back in Brawl. It's
well, I mean, so let's kind of follow this through a little bit. I got to say that the whole fighting game community as a whole actually is very interesting. So I had the pleasure of being involved with fighting games myself in the past. It was actually my kind of gateway to esports originally. And when I started working at a LAN center, we hosted a few tournaments. Actually, what was at one point the largest assembly of kind of tournaments and the biggest kind of fighting game tournament under one roof. And, I got a lot of friends in Electronic Dojo and things like that. So one thing I noticed about the fighting game community is they don't really want to be an esport. in the
No,
way we think of
that's why
esports.
that's why I call them the problem child. It's like they ran away from the parents, try and cast off the riches, live, go traveling around Europe and be all rebellious, dye their hair and think they're really edgy.
The problem that one of the big problems they've got with kind of esports is this enforced professionalism.
Oh yeah,
that you get given a list of words that suddenly you can and can't say. Like if you want to be in the esports treehouse, these words are bad. So they go, well, fuck it. We like to trash talk and talk smack. And if someone gets beat, just for example, we might want to say that they got raped.
Absolutely,
might want to say that. I'm not going to talk about the rights and wrongs of that. But if that's a term they want to use, then they feel they can't be part of esports. Equally, by the same token, when something like that blows up, fighting games are totally predicated on community. They're built on this real close-knit group of players. In fact, when we were handing out prizes to the people that won that big tournament that I ran, they literally just put it behind the bar and said, everyone have drinks. That was like the agreement. Nobody took any money home. It was the best tournament we'd ever ran as a LAN center because all the money stayed in the building. So I know how super awesome the fighting community can be, and they also don't like to take themselves very seriously. Nice. As esports is on this big drive at the moment to get more and more professional, to become comparable to sports, I think the fighting game community is very much a square peg trying to be jammed into a round hole at the moment.
Absolutely. But what I feel the problem is the issue I see specifically is trying to push the community onto the new game when they don't want to, and we've seen in the past that's gone right and wrong. I mean, we've had Blizzard busting heads with Kesper over Brood War, and ultimately a lot of people feel that they killed the game, and that it ultimately hurt StarCraft 2 rather than helping it for them to force the death of Brood War. And I see the exact same thing happening with Melee. I think right now it's all sunshine and roses. But when Smash 4 comes out, if the community doesn't, lap it up 100%, that there's going to be a real problem. And I think the same is with they're doing the same with Halo 5. They brought back a little Halo 2. We're going to have a little MLG and we're getting the gang back together, boys. Yeah. But no, as soon as the community goes, well, actually, we're not interested in this game, I think they are going to turn around. They're going to get the cold shoulder again. I mean, the only success stories of bringing the old scene into the new game have been Dota 2 and CS:GO. Yeah. And there's been a lot of failures of where we've got this new game, it's going to be the big esport thing, whether it's a sequel of a previous esport based on it, inspired by a previous esport, or just brand new. We're going to do the esports. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. These are all our features. It's going to be great. We're going to have our tournament at launch, and maybe they have success for a little while, like Bloodline Champions fall off, or maybe it's just shit from day one.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say as well, a prime example of what you're talking about there, Call of Duty as well. Let's release a new version every year, maybe 2 a year, depending. And we're going to somehow conspire to make it kind of worse each year in terms of competitive viability. And, I mean, I haven't even seen anyone really talking about Advanced Warfare as an esport or anything like that. I think people have kind of just realized that Call of Duty is going to be the same derivative shite, every year, whether Kevin Spacey's in it or not.
I mean, it's flogging a dead horse here. Maybe if the second and third games turn out to, progress in it, but what we got like 6 games in a row now where they've just they've clearly not tried to accommodate you.
What did you make of the whole Halo and MLG thing? Because in the past, Sundance, for example, has said some things about the Halo community. It didn't seem to be a very a very kind of mutual split. They weren't, the community didn't exactly have a lot of love towards MLG towards the end.
I think at the end of the day, they're just happy to get some attention, even if they do have to swallow their pride a little bit for it. Because I mean, it's fallen very far. I wouldn't say the Halo community and its competitive scene was like the pinnacle of esports ever, but it was a nice little thing. It was a viable. You could get a bit of salary going. No one was becoming millionaires. No one was getting team houses, but it was a good way for an 18-year-old to make a bit of pocket money in a couple of years. And it's just dropped like a rock. And, at the end of the day, if someone offers you tournaments and you think that you might be able to get it back on track, that's more important than any feuds.
So I've got a theory here. Let me know what you think of this theory. Right. In marketing, like across the board in almost every anything that can be sold, any field, right? Like people have realized the power of nostalgia.
Oh, of course.
Like if you make because the point is like the present is shit. All you can focus in the present is how bad it is. That's like human nature. The future is uncertain and scary, and the past, no matter how bad it is, we romanticize it because we know how it began, we know how it ended. It's very comforting. We're in complete control about how we remember the past. So people tend to romanticize the past. That's basically, in simple terms, the psychology of it all. So when it comes to marketing, people realize nostalgia is a very powerful tool. This is why we're starting to see more and more like retro car shapes, being brought out in car manufacturing and
Bullshit pixel indie games.
yeah, right, exactly. There's all sorts of shit basically that goes on, and what it does is it tries to tap into the past. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before retro Nokia mobile phones come in. But what I think is really good about what it says about esports is we're now at a stage where we can start pumping nostalgic content.
Yeah, esports nostalgia is not. That's a bit of an oxymoron in the past, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, because we're always being told we're a new industry.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're an industry that's in its infancy, and now we're at a stage where it's like actually we can get Halo. We can bring it back. Yeah. Fuck it. We can bring it back.
Selling to adults what they loved as kids for the first time.
Yeah. And this is why I think we'll start seeing more tournaments like this. What do you make of that theory? Do you think that's complete bullshit? I mean, I kind of just made it up.
That's definitely exactly what's happening because it's a lot easier to just go, oh, here's what you liked. We've put a HD texture on it. We've upped the FPS. We know this will work. It's just safe bet, and that's exactly what everyone wants in such an unsafe industry. Mm-hmm. I mean, esports is gambling all the time. It's like crazy risky. So if you've got something that's previously worked and you reckon you can, even if it's not long term, if you can milk it for a little while, just get a bit more cash out of it.
Yeah,
it's easy money comparatively.
And Halo needs to come back because there's a load of kids with big stashes of Adderall to sell. If Halo isn't played competitively, who's going to buy the Adderall? Who's going to buy it?
Well, COD. Well, we could always bring back Gears of War.
No, let's not do that. I don't think anyone's going to have nostalgia for that either. So just some final thoughts, dude. I mean, I want to bring your points into one holistic kind of sermon for our assembled listeners.
I think that the problem is if you just try and cash in on the old game or just try and use the old game to drum up some hype for your new game, I think you're going to find yourself falling flat on your face. If it's a cynical cash grab and you get in, you get out, then fair play to you. But if they really think that Halo 5 and Smash 4 are 100% going to be the big new esports thing, they might be in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, I think you could be onto something, man. I think as well, like you say, the Nintendo thing's a big worry because esports is a fucking, it's a weird beast. And if companies like Valve and Blizzard that have made games that have gone on to be like, esports centric, almost not by design, just by accident, if they still can't get a handle on esports, which we know they can't, They've even said, we're not sure we want to, which I totally understand. What are Nintendo going to be doing? They're from a country that esports isn't even necessarily a thing. So it's interesting to see how it'll all pan out. I don't know though, but I mean, for me, the whole Smash thing, I think it's going to be irrelevant anyway. I think we're talking about effectively moot points. I think I think it's vogue at the moment, and a large part of that is, like I say, it's down to that documentary because we do it all the time in esports. Whenever anything blows up, we just want to attach ourselves to it. Like, did anyone in esports not do an ice bucket challenge? Like, I think I'm the only guy who didn't do a fucking ice bucket challenge. Like, we get it. All right, Lou Gehrig's disease, it fucking sucks. Okay, cool. Just do what everyone else does, guys. Give some fucking money. The only people in esports, and I know because I was party to these conversations, the only people in, like, it wasn't like everyone in esports suddenly said, wow, this disease, man, we should really get on top of it and use the collective power of esports to fucking drive donating money to get a cure. It was just like, how do we get in on those, like, 5 million YouTube hits? Oh, right, we'll make one. Okay, cool. Here's a bucket of water over my head. Right, I nominate my 4 teammates. They all do it. I nominate my manager. They do it. All of a
And as
sudden,
much as Faker's got a fan base, I mean, how much attention did he get compared to someone like Charlie Sheen or some shit?
yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is gibberish. But anyway, look, it's always great to hear from you. And what I liked about your call this week was it was on a subject I didn't even suggest, really.
Oh yeah, I went off list.
I know, you've gone off message. Yeah, it's like you have your own mind or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So, but it's great to hear from you anyway. It's a good point. I wonder if anyone will pick up the mantle and start talking about Smash, because people have said to me, like, why don't you do any Smash content? And I don't know. I kind of think...
To be fair, though, although Smash is just a flash in the pan, I think that a bit more exposure to the FGC, I think some of that money will stick around.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to lose 100% of it.
No. I don't think so.
It's going to be better off for the burst of attention in the long run. That's what I'm saying.
Well, let's hope you're right. But it's always good to hear from you, dude, and always good to have you as the first caller. We've established the quality level now. You've set the bar. It's up to the other callers to beat it. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and I look forward to hearing from you again next week, no doubt.
All right, thanks. See you later.
No worries. Take care, brother. So there we go. A bit of a broad topic to start the conversation with, almost like the kind of, are these nostalgic games going to be, essentially popular when we bring them back? If so, is it going to have longevity? Is it going to give them second life? And then what happens for the future editions? Are they going to be viably competitive? Or are the community that are so in love with a nostalgic thing that's been peddled actually going to be like, well, no, fuck the new thing. We fell in love with this thing. Who knows how that's going to pan out? Certainly for the Smash community, I'm kind of in two minds about its long-term viability. So if any of those points grab you and tweak your nipples, I'd call Trash Talk on Skype, and Sam will hook you up with the gateway to talk to me, Richard Lewis. Sam, who's the next caller?
Next, we have the CEO of H2K, and he wants to discuss Riot's decision to change the new map halfway through the expansion tournament, and his problem with the XCW inclusion.
Okay. Interesting. This has come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
Does he have a name, or does he just like to be called CEO?
Richard. Sorry, Richard.
Hello?
Richard. I believe we've met each other.
I believe we have. I think I was probably a bit of a dick the last time I spoke to you, actually, and or drunk.
Don't worry about that, mate. It's old lang syne when it comes to trash talk. All old acquaintances are forgotten. So I didn't quite understand Sam. Sam's still trying to get his vocabulary back up to where it should be, the level of human beings. I didn't really get what he was talking about. So why don't you fill me in and give it me in your own words?
Okay, so it's obviously been like pretty big news on Reddit today, at least. The patch changing partway through the expansion tournament. I can see arguments for both, and people for it would obviously say, well, Season 5 is going to be played on this patch, so it's the best, test to see who's going to be able to cope best in the LCS on the new patch. But, I mean, 3 weeks is all they're going to get. So, as someone who is heavily invested in how the expansion patch goes down, in the expansion tournament, this is obviously a bit of a concern. So, I mean, I'd like to get your thoughts on it. I'm pretty biased, obviously, and I fall down very heavily on the negative side. But I personally think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think it's almost as ridiculous as the bracket layout, which is just beyond a joke as well. But I don't want to talk about how they're spreading it out over almost 2 months, because I think that's been talked about to death already. But
not on this show, actually.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, you'd be more than welcome to do that. But let's take one farce at a time. Okay, so this was news to me today. As I'm sure you're aware, I've been kind of bogged down in the whole CS:GO. All I've been thinking about is Counter-Strike for the last few days, and I haven't even really checked the League of Legends sub, except to just put the odd salty post in because, it's the end of the season and people are like posting things like, hey, I only got bronze this season, but it doesn't matter because it's just a game. Let's all have fun. Yeah, I get the front page. Yeah. Like, fuck you, please. But that's the only involvement I've really had. So it seems like this is a classic Riot lack of foresight again. The idea that we're going to fucking... change patch partway through a tournament. I can't think of any other precedent like that in recent times. In fact, I'd have to go quite far back to think of something comparable, especially given this patch is so dramatically different. It's not like just a little tweak, like, all of a sudden Singed isn't shit. It really has made huge changes to the game. Now, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, what is laughable as well is that a huge part of their justification is the fact that, oh well, the new map's been available on the practice servers for ages. It's like, that's all well and good if you actually tell people long in advance that they're going to have to play this incredibly important competition on said patch. But they just bring it out as an afterthought, like, oh, anyone who says it's unfair, well, it's been out for ages. But funnily enough, players looking to play at a seriously high level aren't going to be wasting their time on a map that's not yet applicable to them when they're assuming they're going to be playing on the current patch. I just think it's disgraceful, and it seems like the initial, oh, we're going to drag it over 2 months, which they won't say, but it's because there's no OGM winter, and to do this, we're going to have to come up with this outrageously stupid bracket system, which has already failed at the first hurdle because half the teams that are pre-qualified don't even exist anymore. I saw eSports Pedia posted their presumed bracket today. That surely has to change, as they've included teams like Reason Gaming and NIP that don't even have lineups. And something else I wanted to bring up, this rule change, which I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think this rule change that you weren't allowed to have more than 2 players who had played in the LCS in the previous split to play in the expansion tournament, and they changed the rule, it seems, so Copenhagen or ex-Copenhagen Wolves can take part. I just think the whole thing's embarrassing. I think it's an absolute shambles, and Riot seems to have, at least in the community, this reputation of, oh, we're incredibly open to suggestion, and like, we always read Reddit, and we always, we're always super keen to be the first guys to post to like a serious bug problem or whatever. But when it actually comes down to, the really important stuff, it just gets, I don't know, it's just
so
pathetic.
just on that point, and this is absolutely factual about Riot. I'm sure they'll want to dispute it, but fuck them. People should know enough about me to know that I'm definitely not lying. They talk about how they're like, super open to suggestion, but they're super open to suggestion if something gets a lot of attention and a lot of traction, and they're so super open to suggestion that they actually on quite regularly ask the mods to delete things that say maybe things they don't want to have to deal with, or things that they consider a negative on the subreddit. That actually,
Witch hunting, for example.
Oh, and not even that though. Like, like, let's say, I know someone says something about Riot being shit, and then gives a valid reason or what they think's a valid reason. Yeah, it's not uncommon for someone from Riot to get in touch with the League of Legends subreddit mods and say, "Can we get rid of that, please?" The sheer audacity to even ask. I mean, don't get me wrong, the mods don't do it, certainly not anymore. That's how open to suggestion they are. But anyway, so let's rewind a little bit. I was going to say that the last time I could think of something like this was in 2005, where in Counter-Strike for the World Cyber Games, CSS had gone on mass release. It originally came out in 2004, but it was mass available in 2005. World Cyber Games wanted to use it competitively for their event, so some of the qualifiers were played on 1.6. They used 1.6 for the qualifiers, and then you would have to go to the finals and play Source. A completely different game on a completely different engine. So, I mean, somebody did just say in the chat that actually the Hydra patch came out partway through a StarCraft tournament, which, again, I would say this is ridiculous, especially given that this tournament should have been planned well in advance. We should have known which way it was going to be. And here's the thing. If you're going to insist on players using a patch, like, why can't you then find a way to provide some form of early access or something, because
they seem to think that the early access is the fact that it was on the patch testing servers, which what professional player with any kind of ambition is going to waste any percentage of their day on those servers, on those maps, when it's so counter logic to think
Yeah.
that they're preparing for a tournament. They know what patch, or they think they know what patch they're going to be, so they're literally just grinding over the same map they've been playing for the whole of season 4. And let's look at it like this as well. Season 5 is season 5. There's going to be a new map. Everything's going to be new, whatever. That's season 5. This is essentially the final tournament of season 4. Why are they playing it on the season 5 patch? These guys have been playing on this map all season, and now you're telling me, oh, my team's going to have to learn a new map, and they're going to have 3 weeks to do it, and they could end up losing to a ranked 5 team who's just worked out the easiest way to cheese on the new jungle system. Brilliant. That's like what? That's ridiculous.
This is where I've got a question for you, actually. Then, dude, because I mean, obviously, you sound aggrieved by it. I'm inclined, as it stands, to agree with that grievance. But you know, how has it affected you guys and you know your team's mentality? Is it something that you are now legitimately worried about? Because I think people look to you as one of the front runners to win an expansion slot.
Well, I mean, cheesing is nothing new to us anyway. It seems that every team that doesn't fancy their chances of outplaying us is doing these stupid level 1 strats every scrim anyway. So cheesing is something we should be relatively well adapted to be honest. But as I said, it's worrying because you're in my opinion, you're changing from a game of skill and practice and getting yourself to a high level to, oh, let's just chuck something new in, see who can adapt quickest. And I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I can't see any logic to it whatsoever unless there's some kind of twisted viewership kind of angle, like who's actually going to watch this. But people are hyped for the expansion. I don't understand. It's the first time it's ever happened. Why are you going to screw it by
Richard,
putting
that's
something
the point. That's the point.
Controversial in it.
That's the point. People are hyped for the expansion. That's why they're using the new patch, because it's the first it's the first opportunity they're going to get to showcase all their hard work to the masses. You know, we're not going to risk putting any LCS notices out of joint. The last thing we want is actually a really high-profile player going out and saying this patch sucks or it sucks. We've got to play on it with no notice or blah blah blah. You know, like let's be honest. We know that the kind of challenger scene is the red-headed stepchild in League of Legends kind of family and Riot's family, and you know they're getting better at kind of catering to it and providing it with opportunities as the expansion tournament proves. But you're never going to get it all your own way.
Yeah,
and Riot have obviously realized that what better way to iron out the kinks, to fucking, get that new patch out there, to show everyone what it's all about and how it might look in a competitive environment than actually run it in a competitive, environment for you guys.
When we play games that actually matter, right? Not that, playing for LCS matters at all. So, yeah, we'll just use this as a test run. It's absolutely ridiculous. But, sorry, back to your actual question of how worried I am. Yes, I'm very worried because, as you said, I think a lot of the community, me and my staff personally, consider ourselves to be one of the front runners on the assumption that, we're going to be playing the same game we've been playing all season. I think, actually, our team might have a slight edge over some of the other teams, purely on the basis that they are regarded, first and foremost, their background is in solo queue. I mean, these guys are solo queue heroes. They spam out, or historically have been solo queue heroes. They spam out, hundreds of solo queue games a week. There's a reason why they're all, top page of Challenger. They love to play solo queue. So it might cater to them slightly better in that aspect, that they're probably going to whore the game on a individual and team level. But I mean, who isn't going to be doing that? That's just part of their makeup. But everyone's going to be trying to achieve the same thing. I'm more worried for myself and for other teams that there's just going to be a lot of, we've discovered who the first overpowered champions are in this new patch. Whether that's to do with the jungle layout itself or if they introduce a couple of other things which change the balance. But I mean, you've got to think there's going to be some upsets. On people are just going to come up with compositions which other people just haven't had enough time to come up with. I mean, there's 160 champions or something. Like a team is going to be able to come up with a composition which works particularly well that they might have come across purely by luck, while other people have been trying out other compositions that haven't worked quite so well. I'm
So just to play some devil's advocate, right? And obviously, look, man, you know I'm a sympathetic here. You know, there's no getting away from that fact. I definitely would have thought. In fact, when I conceived, because obviously with my other show, First Blood, we were talking about doing dailies. At no
right.
point did I think we were going to be doing it based around a new patch or anything like that. Like it didn't even enter my mind. I thought it would get competitively introduced after expansion. I just made that assumption. But just to play devil's advocate, some people in the chat have said that, first of all, why can't you guys just adapt? And second of all, everyone's in the same boat. So you've got just as much chance of coming up with that cheese strategy as
Sure,
a ranked 5 team that you might play.
But then I mean it's a fair question in a way, but it's also incredibly easy to answer in that right now you would have to say the game is at least 85% skill. And you're saying, oh, you have as much chance as anyone. Right, chance. Like luck. I don't want the game to be about luck. I don't want to be eliminated because, oh, some team got lucky. As I said, if you're cycling through champion compositions, you might go from A to Z, you might go from jungle outwards, you might do it any which way. It's only 3 weeks. You're not going to be able, there's literally millions of possible combinations. I'm not saying, that's realistic, but the fact of the matter is, in 3 weeks, you are not going to be able to come up with the best possible, or you might, but there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to come up with the same brilliant cheese strat or, normal, just overpowered strat that someone else might happen to come across. So, yeah, it's the same for everyone. And why can't you adapt? Well, I'd say, yeah, it is the same for everyone, but it's chance. And as a team that I would say is one of the front runners, you want as little chance involved as possible.
Yeah,
you want it to be about skill.
I definitely agree with you. So here's the thing, Richard. Because you're a guest on the show, I will ask if you're up for this. Odee's messaged my producer Sam, who is a fair chap, and he's asked if he can come on and basically give a counterpoint to your point.
Should be good.
Yeah, I mean, sure. you know Michael, right?
Yeah, well, I'm not personally, no. But
okay.
I'm more than happy to hear any tangible counter argument if it is indeed tangible.
Yeah, well, fuck it then. Let's do it. So we're gonna drag Michael onto the call now. Hello, Odee. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good. Can you
awesome,
hear me?
Dude. Yeah, I can hear you absolutely fine. So obviously, introductions. Richard, Michael, Richard. I believe you have a counterpoint that you want to make.
Yeah, I just think you sound scared more than you are logically sound on what you're saying. So, like, if Riot comes out with a patch before the tournament, 3 weeks to go, the best team will win. The team that adapts and practices and works out how to win will win. I'm just confused about what you're saying.
Well,
but I also do understand why you're scared. Because getting into LCS is pretty cool.
Right, but I mean, I to be honest, I completely disagree with you. I mean, in fact, I'm not even going to use team names. Say Team 6 from Ranked and Team 3 from Ranked get into LCS, Millennium, H2K, G2, whatever. The favourites don't make it in. Does your argument still stand up? Could you sit there with a straight face and say, the best teams got in because they got and H2K and Millennium got cheesed out? Would that argument stand up? I don't see how that argument could stand up.
Well, I do, because if a new patch comes out, which is the same as it's been in the last 15 years of esports, when a patch comes out, the best players and the best teams learn how to adapt. They learn how to react. They learn how the champions will... what composition of champions will be the best team to win, and the teams that do that, why not? Why can't they be like? Who cares if it's the favorites? Who cares if it's the random team that nobody knew? It makes it exciting for me.
I disagree, because we're talking about a patch, not a new game. Let me give a more direct example. I don't especially want to talk about my own players, but take for Bevan, for example. The guy's got 3 accounts in the top 10 of Challenger. If a new patch comes out, And yeah, all jokes aside about tilting or whatever, if the patch comes out and the guy sucks, that's a new game. That's not a new patch. This guy is historically in the top 10. He has 3 accounts in the top 10 and has been in the top 10 with multiple accounts for as far back as he's been playing. Like, you can't tell me that if he's like suddenly, certain player skill sets are redundant, oh, it's a patch. That's a new game. I think the patch changes are pretty huge. And I don't think you can say, oh, well, they're just not very good if they don't adapt in 3 weeks. It's
I just
3
did though.
weeks.
I just did tell you that if they don't adapt and they can't adapt, if they're number like 2 on the ladder for 10 years and they can't adapt to something new,
Let me just interject here, Michael, because if your team was in this position,
it's been in this position.
well, okay, has it then? So give me an example.
You can go back to Battlefield. Like Battlefield, 10 years ago, patch used to come out every month. You had to adapt. You had to change. You had to work out what was good.
Can we fast forward it a little bit past Battlefield?
All right, fast forward it to now. So my whole problem with League of Legends right now is most teams copy the Koreans. Most Western teams and foreigners, and I hate that fucking word, they copy the Koreans. I want to see a Western team where they actually adapt and actually create the tactics and create the problems for other teams to follow. So the Koreans start copying the foreigners. When that happens, that'll be pretty cool. And that's just my personal opinion. And my personal opinion as having played professionally for quite a long time and knowing how to win, you have to adapt. It's that simple. If you can't adapt, you will lose.
What about StarCraft, though, Michael? Right. So let's just say, for example, we've seen players that were very successful in phases of the StarCraft 2 life cycle. We've seen them drop off quite considerably when a patch has been brought in. For example, I think everybody would agree currently Protoss. Well, not everybody, certainly not Protoss players, but I think a lot of people would agree that Protoss is imbalanced.
Oh yeah.
Right. So imagine you're a non-Protoss player and you've mastered, I don't know, say for example Zerg, and you're doing very well and you're winning tournaments and it's difficult, but you've got it down, and then boom, the landscape changes to make Protoss imbalanced. Now, are you saying that they need to adapt? Do they need to go away and learn Protoss?
No.
Or have they been dealt an unfair blow by somebody changing the landscape in which they were successful in a way that they actually, it would take them so long to kind of get to to relearn, to get to the stage where the other people are, that it wouldn't really be worth their while. And I think this is what Richard's point is. It's not so much that he's angry that a new patch is being brought in or that the landscape of League is going to change. It's that his team, which were one of the favourites to win this tournament, have got 3 weeks to basically get everything down pat, cover all the bases, and that could potentially deny them what they probably consider their entitlement, almost.
Okay, so in the case of StarCraft, sometimes, I have a technical term for this, sometimes you get kicked in the bollocks by the patch. So we've had Terrans for a long time that have just been unable to win because everybody else is overpowered. They couldn't. That's what I'm saying.
So they're not very good.
Are you going to interrupt me, or do you want me to finish what I'm saying?
Sorry, I was just coming back to your point about how everyone should be able to adapt, but go on.
Okay, so if you listen to what I just said, sometimes you get kicked in the bollocks. There's nothing you can do. I don't believe that's the case in League of Legends. You have 100 champions. Work out what the best compilation is. In StarCraft, you got 3 races.
Richard, you haven't given a response.
I couldn't disagree more with pretty much everything you've said. I think for a start, a player, just as a Terran player, can be hamstrung by a patch. Say a mid laner who plays as an incredible player on Assassins, he can be hamstrung by a meta which no longer makes Assassins especially viable. That's first point. When I think that's pretty much a direct analogy of what you've just said. I also just the 3 weeks is very important. Yes, sure, over the span of a season. And by the way, I am all for the patch change. I think the new map looks great. I think LCS
But if you're all for the patch change, why are you moaning?
Well, if you'll let me finish. As I said, yeah, for the new season, I'm all for it. But that is an entire season, and they have known that they will be playing on that patch for ages. They've known that for absolutely ages, and that's completely fair and fine. We've had very little notice. Not only do we have to prepare for this patch, but we also have to play the first few games on the old patch, which is again ridiculous. And
Yeah,
also,
that bit I actually agree with. I must admit.
sorry, coming back to the 3 weeks thing. Yes, over the course of the season, if you can't adapt or whatever, or even a split, fine. But you can't tell me that in 3 weeks, every possible strategy, every stone unturned, like it's just not realistic. If someone comes up with this absolutely crazy, by chance level 1 strat that they haven't even shown in scrims, and then they throw it on you 2 out of 3 games in a best of 3 and drop you, are you just going to pin that on the fact that the players aren't good enough and should have adapted? I just don't think 3 weeks is enough time to cover your bases.
Can I answer that one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and then I'll interject some points.
I actually think yes. Like, if someone comes up with a strat that kills you, why can't that be a cool strat? Like, if you've got 3 weeks to prepare, like, you're going to do your strats, and if someone comes up with a strat that's better than yours, you may lose. Like, it may come down to skill.
You say comes up, though. What I'm saying is it's such a small amount of time, you simply don't have time for everyone to basically be completely sure or go with this or go with that. You just don't have time to even cover everything. There's just not enough time. What I'm saying is it's so luck based if you actually come across it, purely because of the time restraints. I would agree. As I've said, the LCS teams, they've got more than ample time to come up with these strategies or whatever. Like, loads and loads of time. They've known about it for ages. 3 weeks just isn't enough time to. And it is, if it is going to be a case of the map can be cheesed or whatever, it's going to be the team that got luckiest with finding it first or finding the best come first. There's just not enough time.
Just a couple of points just before we continue, and I'm sure we will. Agido tweeted, Velocity qualified for LCS with Cheese. They used the jungle Ezreal, and they were a waste of a slot. Cheese is bad. I'm sure EG actually disagree with you on that point, but probably just them. And then someone followed that up by saying, not to mention, we see this every season. Remember when Blade of the Ruined King came out? Remember when Warmogs was overpowered? Remember Black Cleaver? Yeah, exactly. And
Blue Ezreal.
Well, yeah. Well, and it wasn't anyone on Team Dignitas. So, right. So here's the thing. So just to kind of tie it in together, I think first of all, the idea that someone might get cheesed out of a win, I think it's a very valid concern. I think when you introduce something new a few weeks before a tournament, that is something to be worried about. By the same token, I've got to say, historically in esports, if you innovate just one strategy that's effective, even for a very short period of time, and you happen to do it at a time when the rewards are incredibly great, some people build whole careers off that. And they'll never innovate again. They'll never do anything again. But it's enough to get them paid. It's enough to get them rewarded. And the other point that I just wanted to make before I let you guys get back to it, and this is the key one, I think, it is a bit weird to say, okay, well, we're going to bring in this new patch, but we're going to, and it's important the tournament is played on this patch, but we're actually going to start it on another patch.
Yeah, that is
that means not only do you need like 2 sets of strategies for 2 sets of patches to even have a chance of winning this thing.
And just to touch on a point that you just made as well, our LoL manager joked, well, but being serious, and said, well, the team with the best coach is probably going to win. That's how it's going to be now. And obviously that goes a little bit to your point as well, Odee, that, you know, in terms of adapting and stuff like that and strategy, yeah, those are valid aspects of the game. And as I said, like, if you've got enough time, then I think it's a fair thing to factor in. But it could well be a case of the coach with the most insight or instinct, rather, as to how to quickly come up with strategies for his team might win. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are all, you know, the skill ceiling and the skill gap. Sorry, not the ceiling, but the skill gap at the top of league is closing quite a lot. It's really evident to see that all these ranked teams are stronger than last season. They just are, and there's smaller and smaller skill differences between the players. So that is another valid concern. I think that maybe a team that can bring in a coach for I use Last Shadow as an example, a guy who's clearly very knowledgeable of the game, but might be out of a lot of teams' price ranges. Apparently, Ocelots as well might be able to come in and like revolutionize a team that never stood a chance, and suddenly has these amazing strategies to cheese level 1 or do whatever. It doesn't even have to be cheese level 1, but you know what I mean. Like that, it could be a case of best coach wins.
Michael, your thoughts on that?
I'm still not a fan of coaches in League of Legends right now. Like, I don't think I haven't seen a coach yet that has actually impressed me yet. Like, I think it's still slightly early in League of Legends. I'd love to be able to like say, right, you're a coach, you know what the fuck you're talking about. Come and coach my team, and we're gonna win. I'm still not convinced.
I do agree with that to some extent.
From experience, like the team knows what they're going to do. If the team can't work out what they're going to do in the first place, something's very, very wrong. If a coach came in and says, Odee, this is the key to the golden like chest, like in there is like millions and billions of gold, I'll sign him. But there's no one out there that I could say right now, like, you're a genius, come and coach.
I think that's exactly right, and I think coaches as well, the best coaches now, tend to be coaches who have played on an incredibly high level and are coaching teams on a slightly lower level, and therefore really all they're doing is giving better strategy which they used on their old teams to coach players who maybe have less experience with decent strategy or success with decent strategy. But I think that's very true, and if you compare the level of coaching in League to pretty much any other aspect of life, in terms of actual expertise, which the players themselves won't know about, there's a lot to be desired. But yeah, I mean, it's good that Riot's recognising coaches from this season onwards, even if it is just so they can find people. But yeah, I think he's absolutely right with that. But I still think it could be a case of best coach wins, or yeah, I don't know. I mean, clearly we disagree on this, but yeah, the whole thing's a mess in my opinion. Anyway,
no, that's all right. Look, we'll give our final points, I think, and then we'll move on to another call. So just in summation, Odee, I know you were going to say something.
I was going to say, like, just to sum up, just to get to my point, I completely understand your concerns on this. Like, there's nothing you've said which I wouldn't say what the fuck myself. But if you trust in your team and your team are good enough, they will win. And you have to put everything behind what you're doing as an owner to make sure that team wins. Like, if there's any doubt in your mind and your players hear that shit, it'll put doubt in their minds. If they lose, they lose. If they win, great, you're in LCS. But once you get an LCS, it's a great fucking thing. I like what Riot do, and they throw some fucking shit in the fan sometimes from a managerial and owner's point of view. But that's what we sign up for, and to be honest, I like it.
I don't think pointing out bad decisions by the parent company of the game should be seen as an owner not believing in his team, to be fair. I'm just, voicing my opinion in the hope that companies like Riot might think more than once about making absolutely ridiculous pre-tournament decisions. That's nothing.
But have you spoken to Riot? Have you spoken to Riot and given your thoughts directly to Riot, or have you just come on here and just started ranting?
Well, I have not emailed Riot directly about my concern for their expansion rules that have already been announced and clearly won't be changed off the back of an email, but...
Last thing I'll say, that's probably the first thing you should have done. There you go, I'm done.
All right, well, thanks a lot for coming on the show, Michael. I'm going to use your Christian name. Good to hear from you. Richard, I don't know if this is kind of what you were expecting when you called in. I know it wasn't, but for me. But I want to say I'm actually a little bit more sympathetic to your view of things than probably is Odee's in this situation. And I certainly hope that we don't see a substandard tournament and one where teams that in the build-up to LCS, the ones that have treated previous Challenger seasons with complete respect actually end up getting kind of put in a position where they're ill-equipped to qualify and reap the rewards that respect deserves. So I wish you both the best, and thanks a lot for coming on. Richard, I hope you'll call in again sometime. It's definitely great to hear from you again. And Michael, always a pleasure, never a chore.
Cheers, mate.
Sure. Thanks very much, Richard.
No, anytime, brother. You take care, both of you.
Cheers. Bye.
So there we go. Bit of like I say, people were joking, celebrity deathmatch, but I think it's very interesting because I a little bit of kidology. I think from Michael. I know Michael's the kind of guy who will fight tooth and nail for his team to always get them the best that he thinks they want, and equally by the same token, now that he's LCS and his LCS kind of status is assured with the team that he's got at the moment. It's kind of very easy to maybe say, hey, don't worry about it. The best team will win on the day. I'm a little bit more sympathetic to the H2K position, which is actually we've got 3 weeks to get this down. We're going to go into a tournament where we're going to switch patch partway through. I don't think that's ideal. I think that's probably an understatement. And I think if Riot had put a bit more forethought into it and weren't so desperate to kind of showcase this new patch and the way the game looks to people, they'd probably allow them to play one last tournament on this patch and then roll it out next year. Just my thoughts. Anyway, I want to thank both of the guys for coming on. And I thought that was actually a constructive debate. No one degenerated into name calling. I was worried it would at one point, but it didn't. So well done, guys. It's a big win for esports. Before we go to a break, I think we're going to have one other guy. There's a chap called Jonathan McDaniel who desperately wants to get on and give some further points to that discussion. I think it's fair we give him the airtime, Sam. What is it he wants to talk about specifically?
He wants to talk about the IEM votes and how teams shouldn't be upset they're not getting votes when they haven't announced a full roster, such as Dig and CLG.
Well, I don't know if he is going to talk about that because he's been spamming saying he wants to talk about...
I've been spamming about all sorts of things, so I don't know. I'll do whichever. It's up to you guys.
Hey, look, it's your airtime. You've been brought on. You've got a great voice. You've got a good microphone. Take it away. Let's start with what you made of the whole argument about the patch.
Yeah, so basically what I noticed is a lot of Odee's arguments would work in a regular season because they get, the new patch comes on live and then they have like a week and a half to, get used to it, and then it's into the LCS. And usually that's fine because it's only a couple number changes or a champion tweak here and there, and if there's any big changes on a champion, they're gone for 4 weeks into purgatory where you can't even touch them. And that's fine. But this is a completely different patch. This is like, every year we get this where there's one or two things that are just completely off the wall bonkers. And even some of the design people at Riot have said, the preseason is a time where we can experiment with really like wacky off the wall kind of ideas and how we want to make the game change and adapt for the new season. But to say that they want to take this very unrefined and crazy patch and put it into competitive with the excuse that, we can put in hotfixes if, League of Black Cleavers happens again. It's just silly, especially when they've just told the teams like, yesterday that the tournament that starts in 4 days now, is going to randomly switch patches halfway through. And I think at one point they're going to be playing on 4.19, which is the current patch that they've just got on live now, except with the Summoner's Rift visual update. Like, why? Why does that need to happen? Like, I guess they're trying to just, put it out there, but
with a visual update as well. I mean, anyone who's played on the public beta knows that's, you may see some fucking parts of the jungle or creeps just start wandering into other lanes and doing crazy shit. I mean,
yeah.
So to put it in context, Jonathan, we know that teams in this LCS season have lost games due to bugs. Like Curse got fucked over twice with, I think there was the Vi E bug.
No, there was also the Annie Flash bug.
And then the anti-flash bug,
Saintvicious when he was playing support for some reason.
Some people have actually said that wasn't a bug. I mean, there's a conspiracy. It's
more of an input buffering issue than it is an actual defined bug.
There's a conspiracy theory among certain circles that say Saint just fucked it up, and he just fucked up. But I don't believe that. But some people say that that's why it didn't get any attention from Riot coming out and saying they didn't want to burn Saint And they, by saying actually he just fucked it up and,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But where there's been numerous other examples as well. I mean, and
SK
then,
Gambit one was huge.
well, the SK Gambit was only huge that they chose to remake the game.
Yeah. I mean, the
when
bug
they
was
shouldn't.
stupid because he was getting what, like 33 to 66% bonus healing because it was every 2 autos Aatrox would get a heal instead of every 3, which arguably didn't really impact the game that much because the second he toggled to the other form of W, it turns off.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Riot just does all these crazy things where something bizarre will happen in game or just something will happen in their little sphere and they won't react in a way that people expect. And when they do react to something in a way that people don't expect, they tend to not let people directly involved know until the last possible minute. Like when they announced to to people, oh, by the way, halfway through this tournament we're going to switch to the preseason patch. There was teams that were messaging Riot being like, are you serious? Is this a thing? Like I looked on Nintendo's Twitter yesterday and he's like, wait, are you actually kidding me? Like how do they actually want us to play on the preseason patch halfway through a tournament? Wow, what a tragedy.
Yeah.
Like it's complete madness.
I mean, look, I agree with you. It's like I said, I was trying to be sympathetic. Like, look, I'm kind of torn. It's like having 2 brains in one brain. It's very difficult for me because I've always said, and I'm a big proponent of this, that adaptability is actually the key to success in not just
For sure.
esports, in a lot of areas. I've even made the point on this show that you will never go into a tournament 100%. Nothing will ever beat your liking. The tables will be too small. Your hotel will be next to a bunch of drunken assholes who keep you up every night. There's always going to be something that's going to make optimum performance impossible. But it's not about your plan A. Plan A is great when you sat at home and, you've got an army of geishas bringing you cups of tea and, it's a bit cold in here. Can I get some gloves? And everything's perfect. And you're on your home setup and everything just is, glorious, tailor-made for you, right? But tournaments ain't about that. And it's the same with games and patches. It's like occasionally you're going to get thrown a curveball. Can you deal with it? So I kind of agree with Michael's point in that sense. But this is huge. Entry into LCS is career defining for a lot of these players. And when you're a player who's been plugging away for a long period of time, it's going to be in the back of your mind when a new patch comes out. Can I adapt to this? Can I be good enough on this one? And where there's doubt, that's when performance issues start. And this is what so I'm sympathetic to H2K because they've been one of the front runners in the challenger scene. Everybody knows that. And now this is the big opportunity for them to get into LCS, probably where on reflection they belong. But actually, here's another hurdle. Here's another obstacle. And it's one that probably isn't fair.
And yeah, this is exactly what I was saying. Like when Odee was on here talking about, how the team that adapts should be the best team. Like, if you put in a new patch and say, whoever wins this patch, it's the best team. That could be kind of understandable if it's a small patch, but this patch basically erases all the preparation that a team makes. Like when you get your, you sit down with your analyst and you make your level 1 strategies. All of that is based on what jungler you have, what jungler they have, what crowd control you have at level 1. Like there's so many variables that go into your level 1 strategy. But the problem becomes if you completely rework the jungle, which is what level 1s are based around, then you lose all of your preparation. So H2K, all that dominating they've been doing in the challenger scene in Europe, it kind of just goes away because they've completely redefined the way the game works at level 1 and possibly longer. I haven't played too much on the patch, but there's some pretty crazy difficult stuff going on in there that's going to take a long time for people to get.
One of the points that's been brought up consistently throughout the call, and I haven't really addressed it because I think some of them are maybe missing the actual point people are trying to make it. They're saying it's a patch just in name. Actually, it's the jungle items aren't going to be included, but there's still going to be some fundamental changes to like map layout, to the way brushes work. There's so many little things that are going to change that actually those little things are the definition between being the best in a collected field of players, having that knowledge and not. So I have been ignoring those points. I find it ridiculous, actually.
Like one really big example that we can just easily take is support players, they have to put a ward in a very specific spot in the bush. And in season 2, when the bushes were very long, you had a very specific, like pixel by pixel little spot where you could get perfect vision if you put it in there. But if you miss, it's not in the bush. And if you miss the other way, then you can't see half the bush. So when you redraw all the bushes and all the textures on the map, those spots are likely going to change. And it's going to take a little longer than 3 weeks for everyone on every team to fully understand where the wards need to go perfectly, and just like small stuff like that. And even some of the itemization changes that are coming in, they're very, very, very like weird. Like the way they've redone the jungle is basically made it so instead of getting an item that gives you stats and everything kind of being on the same playing field, you've got 4 different things that all give these different abilities to your smite, and it just completely like reevaluates the jungler's position in a game based on a single item purchase. And it's visible to the other team. So it's more than just, Annie's attacks are, 20 less range. Like it's way bigger than that, and the impact is going to be pretty crazy. Especially when the teams are going to be in like a melting pot for 3 weeks preparing what's going to be the meta for the tournament.
So you said you were going to give us some examples, which I'm interested to hear. But just before we do, someone in the chat called lolflygokorin said Rickard. He called me Rickard with a K, which should make me hate him instantly. In fact, his spelling across the board is awful. But the point he's trying to make is bring up that the first LCS qualifier, where the unknown teams like AA, Giants, and Dragonborns got in instead of the real good teams. And there was a whole split of 3 bad teams in LCS, and EU was hold back. I think he means held back a split. And then the next split, the good teams got in, and all of a sudden LCS was good. Please, holy moly. So, I mean, that's kind of almost how I think about it as well. Like, Dragonborns were a fucking anathema, actually, to competitive play. They were like just some awful fucking... I don't know about Dragonborn. They were more like a fucking walking abortion of a team. They were really bad. And
there was definitely the fair share of teams across the board that were just, they got into LCS and everyone's like, oh man, these guys got into LCS, it's going to be great. And then 3 weeks in, you're like, oh my God, we have 7 more weeks of dealing with this awful team that's going to lose 90% of their games. Why are they here?
Yeah. So, what about your examples?
So, I mean, one example that was brought up briefly before was the velocity thing. Like, they literally got into LCS by playing, what was it, mid Janna, jungle Ezreal, Caitlyn, and like just this really wacky off-the-wall team comp. But because no one really played that at the time, and the games I think were all best of 3 or something like that. This was before Riot fully embraced the power of the best of 5 in deciding a better team. They would take, at least one game off of any team they wanted with this crazy comp. And that means it's now a 50-50 shot that they get to win. And, at any point, they could win any of the next 2 games on their own merits, and they're in. Like, they're on the next round. And we saw throughout the LCS that was a huge problem. They just could not compete at all.
Yeah. So, I don't know, dude. I mean, is this something, like, do you think we could change it? Like, is there actually a chance that we can apply the pressure to Riot and make them see a bit of common sense and maybe play it out on the patch?
If we're going off of Riot's past tendencies, I don't think they're going to change. Like, realistically, once they say this is the way it's going to be, there's very little that we can do to make them change that. Because as we talked about briefly before, they may say that they're open to all these external outputs and like opinions and feedback, but once they make that final call, it's set in stone. Like when there's that huge SK Gambit debacle about the remake, the community freaked out, and they just they stood their ground and said, "We're not changing it. It's set in stone."
Yeah, and it was fucking stupid as well.
Yeah,
that's like of all the ones that should have been remade, that was the one that had the weakest fucking argument for a remake.
Yeah.
So dumb. So you had another point as well. The one Sam actually introduced you about having.
Oh, okay, yeah. So with the new IEM stuff coming up, there's always those 1 or 2 slots from NA and EU that are basically popular vote. And there's been, I know Odee's in the chat is going to lose his shit if I say it, but
say it.
Frankly, they put up the Dignitas on Twitter put up a post saying, "Hey, vote for us in IEM. We have a full roster and lineup ready to go, but we need your help to get there." And so, I know Ajito and another person I follow on Twitter are like, how can you expect people to vote when we don't know your roster? Like, we don't know what we're getting. We're kind of just putting our faith in the brand, being like, I really hope they pick some winners. Whereas we could vote for a team that's actually announced their roster and we know who's going to, like, who we're voting for. It's kind of like putting, on election day for, the president or prime minister based on where you live. And you could vote for the people you definitely don't like, or you could put it in the randomizer, which has a 1 in 3 chance of picking the candidate you do like. Like, who would do that? You vote for something that you know about.
He responds by saying we're talking to our real fans, not you random Americans. But I got to be honest with you, dude. I definitely agree. I think if you're in some sort of competition like that, I almost think there should be so a popularity contest, which is what it was. It can't work. By definition, a popularity contest can't function if you don't know who the fuck the entrants are.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing with
CLG. It's a fundamental truth, right? And it's like you say with an election. It's like, okay, so there's a Republican candidate and a Democrat candidate, and then there's an independent. Obviously, I'm not going to vote for the independent because no one else is going to.
Yeah, so he's not going to win.
Right? So my politics are kind of Democrat, all right? So I'll lean towards the Democrat. You vote the Democrat in, and then it's like, I don't know, some fucking crazy hardline Republican asshole who like got dropped on his head, had a fucking seizure, and then realized that like I don't know, maybe abortion is okay in some situations, and I've just voted him. Like what the fuck? Fuck this shit. This is bullshit. So yeah,
I mean that's just the problem with politics in general. Is if there's two big names, why the hell would you waste your vote on a random third party who has no chance of winning, right?
So you've absolutely got to know. You've absolutely got to know who the people are. So I think what should have happened was for that IEM thing, I'd have liked to have seen a little bit of friendly pressure, not absolute pressure, but friendly pressure exerted. On the team saying, can you at least get a fucking lineup together? Like, please.
Well, I'm looking at what Odee's saying in the chat, and he's saying that they weren't allowed to announce it because of, I'm assuming, Riot rules. But earlier in the chat, he said that they had their players confirmed 2 hours ago or something, probably 3 hours by now, and that they're actually all flying out to LA. But my question is, why couldn't IEM go to Riot and say, hey, we're going to invite, these 5 teams in your LCS. Do they have fully submitted, finalized rosters that we can use? And if yes, then I think that they could at least make some effort to, at least put 1 or 2 extra names out there instead of leaving everyone in the dark with these 3 out of 5 grab bag teams that we don't really have any confidence in.
The idea that Riot's going to start communicating effectively with anyone, but with tournament organizers, which they've only just let back kind of into that circle. And again, IEM have a very, and anything ESL related, have a very privileged kind of position. It's not going to be the norm by any stretch of the imagination. It's just fantasy. It's just, a candy land. They barely communicate with the organizations that they have to work with anyway on a fucking daily basis. The organizations that actually have teams, in their league, in the LCS. So it's, they've got a long way to go. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I think you've got to know what you're voting for. It was a fucking popularity contest. How do I gauge popularity in a popularity contest if all the people are invisible? I think that was certainly one of the reasons that got brought up. We talked about this with Unicorns of Love on a previous show. And I was like trying to get all meta on it, like, oh, maybe people want to send a shit team so a good team can't lose to an American team.
Well, I mean, that would have made sense if Alliance hadn't already been confirmed.
Yeah, true that. Right? but the reality is probably is closer to what you're talking about. Like Unicorns of Love, sure, okay, they got a stupid name. They are going to probably use some poppy cheese, whatever. But they're a known quantity at least. We know which player's going to be there.
And I mean, as funny as it was to have teams like Super Hot Crew and Unicorns of Love all in one league together, it's great. But do we really think that they're going to win off of, what were they, the 8th place seed or whatever? Or the team that played the worst LCS team to get in? So I mean, it's not exactly like we're super excited about them coming in. Like, it's just voting for a team that we know exists, we know has 5 people on it, and we know that a bunch of them aren't just random, like, Diamond 2 players that they had to just get last minute. Like, it's a defined, as you said, a defined entity.
About Coast.
Well, I mean, CLG that one, I can't remember what event it was. It might have been Battle of the Atlantic or something. They had
Yeah.
Trix Z or whatever come in, and it's like, who's this guy? Why is
Yeah.
he here?
That was particularly bad. But look, dude, it was great to get your thoughts on it, Jonathan. You know, a lot of people think you're Last Shadow, so
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, that's a bit weird, but you don't.
Well,
You
I mean,
don't
I say
sound
Elo and I say Kassadin, so that should prove it right there.
You've won.
Yeah,
But yeah, look,
proof.
so it was great to get you involved as well, and you're the last call before we go to break. I hope you'll call in again sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll put you on the pre-approved list for Sam.
Awesome.
So
I made it. I'm in this.
Yeah, you're in the club. Thanks a lot for calling, brother.
Yeah, take care.
You too, man. Take care. So there we go. We had lots of interesting points come off there from League of Legends. Sam, I feel like I should ask your opinion.
Well, based on the roster lock or is previous?
All of it. Your opinion for all of it.
I don't know. Come on, work with me, Richard. You're supposed to be the host. Ask me the question. Break it down.
Okay. Well, the first point that we talked about was Richard calling in from H2K, and he was like, "Why are we playing on 2 fucking patches in one tournament?"
That's the thing that I think's bad, but I agree with Odee that part of being a good team is your ability to adapt. And I don't think I think he's undervaluing 3 weeks. Like, most of the cheese is probably going to be on solo queue the next day, like when the double Targons embrace came out, stuff like that. It wasn't that difficult to figure out. The thing that is fucked though is if there's going to be a bug. That's what I think is stupid about changing patches. Like, right now on the PB, the patch is fucked. Like, everything's just broken. So how they know it's going to be ready by then with no problems.
And I've definitely got some. This is where I'm probably the most worried, actually. We've seen bugs, cost people games, on a patch that's allegedly meant to be stable. I mean, it's weird. We talked about Curse getting fucked over twice. We talked about SK Gambit. What was the Shen bug, CLG?
Yeah, when Shen ults, sometimes he just doesn't go to it.
There we go. I mean, there's another one. I'm sure there's a fan from almost every team that can point to another bug. There was one. There was a support bug in a bot lane. Fuck, I can't remember what it was. Quite a famous example. I'm sure someone will do it. But anyway, so I don't trust it to be ready.
Yeah,
so I don't.
Definitely.
I really don't. Then we had Odee come on, and obviously he basically was like his usual forthright self and said that Richard was, being a bit of a bell end, and that any negativity he had as a CEO would, if he interacted with the players, would rub off on them.
Yeah. I did sense what he was saying, though. He did seem a bit more scared than annoyed, the way he was talking about it. But to be fair, you kind of should be, right? If you've been practicing up to this point a whole season, and then suddenly, right when it all matters the most, they decide to completely change the game. It would piss me off too if I was an owner, but...
Yeah, well, look, I mean, let's be honest. It's like I say, LCS, if you're a League of Legends player, LCS is fucking make or break. It's make or break. It's like you're either in it or you're not. And anyone who knows the players, dude, like when LCS first come in, one of the best insults that the people in LCS would use towards others, one of the most effective and potent ones, was they would just call them amateurs and laugh in their face. They're like, "Sup, amateur?" That used to happen. So the idea that like people shouldn't be scared of this. People have got a lot invested in this. Like for H2K, this isn't like just one daft season in Challenger with players who've like never played the game before. There's players there that, are arguably good enough to be in LCS, but for whatever reason it hasn't happened. They're now in a team that's positioned to get there. And it's, I know, I understand it. I do. I understand the grievance, 100%. So then we had Jonathan come in, and he was a bit more sympathetic to the H2K view of things than indeed my own. And he apparently sounded like Last Shadow.
He does.
You think so?
The words he says doesn't really match, but his voice in general with the pitch and stuff does.
Interesting. And then his final points were just basic. Well, he just wrapped up and started talking, didn't he, about fucking, I tried to pin him down on some examples.
Yeah.
Which he didn't really give as many examples as I hoped he would do in the history. of League of Legends of shit teams. That's what I was trying to put him down to do. Like shit teams have got no LCS who didn't deserve it. But I think overall, a good caller. I thought he actually brought a lot to the table. Your thoughts on him as a caller?
Yeah,
he's
good.
Can we add him on the imaginary whitelist now?
He does spam me about 50 messages begging to get on each week, so I guess so, yeah.
Dude, the kid wants it. Like, that's the kind of caller I need. So, anyway, Sam, I think that was a great half of a show. Action-packed, a roller coaster.
Yep. Drama, bitch talking.
Celebrities, drama, pitchforking. It could have only been better, in my opinion, if someone had called in to say Saintvicious should be banned permanently.
Guess better hold on to your hat for after the break.
Oh, if only I had a hat, it would hide my irregular hairline.
Get the fedora.
Oh,
Trilby.
Yeah, it is a Trilby. Whoops. There we go. Can I do this? Right, it's on. We're gonna find a way to fit this over my headset. Please get that collar on immediately.
Yeah, well.
We're gonna take 5. I'm gonna figure out how to put this on my head. Thanks a lot for watching Trash Talk. I'm Richard Lewis. See you after the break, m'lady.
Okay. Yeah, we did.
Right, we're back, and this isn't gonna work, guys. I thought I could make it work with some like light comic relief. I even went so far. I was in the bathroom taking a piss, like a pre-show piss, and I was the razor was staring at me, and I thought, how funny would it be if I just shaved off everything except. But that would have been too meta a joke. This is awful. I don't even know why I own this hat, actually.
I think your girlfriend would have slapped you when she saw that you shaved everything except the neck beard.
Oh yeah, because she's obviously the type of girl who cares about appearance. That's why she's with me, right? But anyway, yeah, I don't know why I own this hat. I'm kind of ashamed that I do.
Did you own multiple trilbies?
I do in multiple colours. Hang on, go on then. Since we're being a tour down Richard's Neckbeard Museum. So I got a luminous green one. This one, Sundance wants the luminous orange one, and I got a white one. Now, I bought them because they're the colours of the Irish flag. I think I got them on, like, St. Paddy's Day or something. I bought all three from, like, some guy that was selling brims.
Yeah.
So, pretty lame. In many ways, I feel like I need to sort my fucking life out. So speaking of which, let's sort this fucking... let's sort this show out. Do we have a caller, and if so, what would you like to talk about?
We have Ryan, and he wants to talk about why Saint is toxic, and he needs to understand that he's a role model for everyone.
I hope this is a troll. Please be a troll.
Actually, I prefer it's not. I think the call would be
No,
better.
it is. It definitely is. This is
Hey,
Ryan.
Richard.
Hey, Ryan. You're
Hey.
trolling your fucking tits
No,
off. Right?
no. I'm talking about Saint.
Dude, you're trolling.
No, I'm not trolling.
Tell me your point, and then we'll get to the bit where you troll.
I'm ready for Rich. I'm ready for Thorin's dick.
It's happening.
So I was on Reddit the past couple of days reading what happened with Saint and how he's saying that Reddit's witch hunting him and saying that he's wrong, et cetera, et cetera. I honestly think that's true. He was feeding because he basically gave up when Irelia carries was technically what could have won that game, but instead he decides to just run down mid, tower dive, feed consistently, and then he says that Reddit's witch hunting him, saying that he's the bad person. But honestly, in that case, he was toxic, and he was just being rude to the other players, you know?
Okay, so I've never intentionally fed in a game, like, ever in my life. Like, I've done a lot of things that I'm not particularly proud of, Ryan. I have indeed told people that, you know, the world might be a better place if they suck a tailpipe or, you know, fall off a cliff or accidentally ingest some bleach. It's not nice. You know, and I don't really mean it, obviously. I'm a humanitarian. I think that much is clear about me. But what I've got to say is I'm not a professional player. Surely a professional player can gauge when a game is lost or not. And if so, one of the points in that game was they had a very snowbally... The team they were playing against had a very snowbally comp. Mid was lost, bot lane was lost. And I think, and they wouldn't surrender. And at that point, that was when Saint said, "You know what? Fuck it. Let's expedite this process by feeding."
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand what your point is, but at the same time, Irelia Carries was, you know, getting a lot fed. He was doing really well, and he said in his VOD, "Well, we could have won this game if Saint didn't just run down mid and consistently feed." Now, Saint is a role model, you know. In my sense, he's a role model. No, like league players are role models.
Right. Is he a role model to you, brother?
No. I'm just saying that in
So who do you think he's a role model to?
Now you're trolling me, dude. I'm just saying that league players are role models to a certain extent to the fan base.
This question is important. If this was a fucking courtroom drama, this would be the point where I go to the judge. Your Honor, this question goes right to the heart of the case. Okay? And they would go, "I'm going to allow this." And I would go, "Fucking awesome." And then I would win. And at the end, my client, who actually was a murderer all along, gets off. And it's a bit of a strange, dark ending. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make here, Ryan, is who actually thinks of Saint as a fucking role model? Like, who looks to Saint and goes, "Oh, when you behave bad, like, it's so disappointing to me." Like, I think anybody who's a fan of Saint realizes that this is a guy who is going to make mistakes. He's very human, very fallible, but it's like his good points far, far outweigh his bad. And like, he's so well represented. He's like one of the few really honest and accessible League of Legends personalities. You know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But I just feel...
So who is looking at him as a role model? Is anyone out there like going to say, "Oh my God, Saint intentionally fed in a game. I can't believe it," and like maybe they run the bath and the razor blades get brought out? I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I understand. It's just I feel like overall it could have been handled differently. I mean, I think the Reddit mods should have handled it differently. But I don't know. I just feel like I don't think a pro player should feed in any game. I don't think that's right. Even if the game is lost.
I definitely don't think it's right. Okay, so I'll clarify your point, Ryan. We're in agreement on this, right? I do not think it's right. I definitely do not think anyone in any game should give up and just make it so it's a guaranteed loss. It's so retarded to do it because... Right, what makes people upset? I'm gonna have to fucking, I'm gonna have to draw this game out and I'm gonna lose. But the minute you start intentionally feeding, you become the enemy within. Everyone gets so pissed off at you intentionally feeding that more often than not, they refuse to surrender. The game ends up getting dragged out anyway, and all you've done is guarantee you are gonna lose. So it's like... It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. What you need to do is actually kind of be like, okay, this is really, really bad. I'm now playing the game on like extreme difficulty, like when the computer will just absolutely bullshit you. But, there's still a slim, slim chance. And that's what Saint probably should have done. That's what all of us should do. You should always be trying to win. But that said, another thing I hate is when just because you had the fortune or misfortune, depending on how you look at it, to be queued with a pro player, if they do something you don't like, you can be totally safe in the knowledge that if I record a video of it and take it to Reddit, I can shit all over this guy really hard. Like, I can make his day miserable. I can possibly even get him fined. I can possibly even take his job away. And I hate fucking people who do that. Like, really. I think that's bullshit. Like, it's so disproportionate what that guy on Reddit did. Because it's like, it's got the potential to have these, like, serious ramifications. Really serious ramifications. Not because there's any rules about it. Not because it's fair that it should have those ramifications. But it's because of fucking Riot's classic... Oh, it's on the front page of Reddit. Guess we should do something about this attitude.
Yeah, I understand. I don't think Saint should be fined or anything, but I just think he should be told, you should set a different I can't say the word.
Precedent.
Yes, I don't think he should be fined at all. I think he just should be told you should set a better example next time. I mean, if they do fine him for that, I think it's foolish in my terms. I don't think they should fine him. I don't think it's right. Because... if in terms of fining players, I mean, they're kind of all over the place with the fining part. They don't have I don't know if they have like a Bible where they have, this person will be fined for this person will be fined for that. I think I don't know. It's just weird how they're going to do it. Hopefully he doesn't get fined for it. I don't think that should happen.
I don't know what's going to happen with it, but it was certainly front page for about 2 days.
Yeah, it was. And it was on the front of /all. I think it was for a day.
Wow. It made the front page of Reddit?
Well, of course. Everything on League of Legends gets up there all the time.
Wow.
There's people on the other subreddits getting pissed off at League of Legends because they're always up there.
It just seems insane to me, dude, because, saying, okay, he has the odd lapse, but again, so this is a thing. You put a system in place, Riot put a system in place where basically... you don't get judged on one game. You don't get judged on 10 games. You get judged on an average of how you behave across multiple games. And if the percentage of you being an asshole or an asshole in the eyes of the majority of weak-minded children that play League of Legends, so it doesn't take a lot. But if you actually stray past a certain point, that's when action starts triggering. If you're a pro player, it sadly, they're not treated the same way that me or you or anyone else in solo queue would be. They get treated as if they're like, they need to be infallible.
Yeah.
They get treated as if one mistake and that's it. If the one mistake gets fucking highlighted to the degree that it has, then the ramifications will be serious. It wouldn't surprise me if just before the NA expansion tournament, Riot released a statement saying something along the line of, I mean, I hope it's just a warning, but I would bet dollars to donuts at this point, Riot will come out and make a statement about it.
Well, I mean, I agree with that. And I also think if they do what I think they're going to do and they maybe suspend him from the expansion tournament as a penalty instead of a fine, I think that's going to hurt Curse Academy, because I want Curse Academy to get into the LCS, even though it'll probably be named something different. I think the two teams I think that will get in is Fusion and Curse Academy right now. And I hope that they don't suspend him, because I think that will be a huge problem. And I think Riot will be in the wrong there. Now, Saint was in the wrong, but he should have been showing a different precedent. Whatever. Yeah, that word. And I don't know. I just hopefully Riot realizes this isn't something that should be fined over. It should be a warning. Shouldn't be a fine.
But it sounds to me, Ryan, like you're occupying this very fucking weird grey area. Yeah. Because on the one hand, you're saying what Saintvicious is doing is wrong, that he's a role model, he shouldn't be toxic. But equally, by the same token, you're saying, I hope Riot do nothing about it, because that would be unfair.
Well,
I'm not sure you can walk this tightrope, Brian.
I think they should warn him that that's doing something. I don't think they should fine him / remove him from the expansion tournament. They should warn him, tell him this is your warning, don't do it again. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Do you think Riot almost like if a tree falls down, no one's there, does it make a noise? I think they operate on that principle where what they're effectively going to do.
If it doesn't get the front page of Reddit, they're not going to.
If they warn him, they're going to have to tell people that he was warned.
Yeah, I think they'll do that. I think what will happen is Riot will. 3 things can happen. They're going to make an announcement, obviously, most likely, saying, you have been warned, if you do this again, blah, blah, blah. 1, they're probably going to fine him, or 2, they're going to remove him. I think those are 3 things that might happen.
Okay, well, I think you might be right about the feeding issue. I think they'll probably tell everybody that he got warned. I hope that's as far as it goes. It would suck if it went any further, dude. But look, I it's great that you called in. I was all geared up for a fucking confrontation, and then it was you who called in. And
oh wow, we should just play CS:GO again. Maybe that'll happen.
No. Then I really would get angry. But just to finish before I cut you off, Ryan, the troll account on Twitter, Reddit lolpro, tweeted at me and said, "You said who has cursed Saintvicious as their role model? But as an aspiring alcoholic and someone who is balding at 12, I don't have anyone else." So there you go. Perhaps you add him on Twitter after this, and everything's gonna be good. But look, dude, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm glad you called into the show, and always a pleasure to see you in the chat.
Right.
Well, Ryan,
have a nice day, Richard.
I will, and you too. Sammy, you cut him off. You went, no.
I cut him too early. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did it. Go, get away. It's all right. I think the chat are fucking loving it. Like, so there you go. Well, look, check it out, man. Jesus, that's great. So there you go, guys. If you want to follow a good troll account to tweets about League of Legends, there's only really 2 troll accounts worth following in League of Legends. One is Thorin. I'm sure you all. I'm just kidding. Duncan's allege. Anyway, so add at Reddit lol pro. It's at Reddit lol pro. Add him. I've already retweeted his tweets. If you follow me, you'll have seen it. But I know he needs followers. I got no idea who the guy is, but he does tweet some funny shit anyway. So Sam, what do you make of that? Come on, because I feel like there was no argument to be had with that.
Like, I don't understand. What would happen to it if I were going to a game and intentionally feed? What would happen to me? Nothing. Maybe like a chat, man. like at most. So why should Saintvicious be? He's not even an LCS player. Like he's not even a pro player signed by Riot. He is under no contract. He's under nothing. Why does it matter what he does?
Yeah,
He should be held to the same standard.
He should be held at the same standard, and indeed, you know, like the salty dude who took it to Reddit, it was literally embarrassing because like everyone would reply going like, "It's just one game. We all tilt in some games. We all feed in some games. Why is this a big deal?" And then he would reply with like, "We could have totally won this game. Man. We could have totally won." It's like, just fucking let it go.
Could have got my 15 points right at the end of the season.
Yeah, if I went to fucking Reddit every time I had a fucking retard feeder or a disconnect in my game, I couldn't do shows anymore. I'd have no time.
I would have been Reddit
wouldn't
banned.
even know each other.
I would have been Reddit banned after those 3 days of solo queue. Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, there we are. Then. Right, so there's that, and of course, other good troll accounts to follow because that was a joke. I love how it's like I did a little joke about Thorin being the other troll account, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, there's so many more troll accounts." Yeah, you're right. Okay, so you know, there's Meteos, there's Ego. There's actually a Twitter account called Thorin's Conscience. You should probably, I don't know if it's still active. Check that out. Anne Prague is amazing to follow on Twitter. She's not really connected with anything in League of Legends, but she absolutely loves it and understands it, and is a big fan of Korean League of Legends, especially. The things she's been tweeting recently have been hilarious. You should probably follow her. And fuck Drunk Scara, because that guy, whoever was running that, some Dignitas manager. Yeah, that's the fucker. He randomly attacked me over fuck all. I can't remember what it was. Oh, what a prick. So fuck him. And if you follow him, you're also a cunt. So let's get another call in, Sam. Who have we got? We're at the stage of the show where I need to start picking them, I think.
Alright. There's a guy called Atai, and I feel really bad if you don't like him on, because he's been messing with me for weeks. Like, he literally sent me 40 messages today.
Yeah, okay, let's get him on. I don't even care what he's going to talk about.
Let's talk about the Fnatic lineup.
Yeah, let's just, let's do that. Atai.
Yes.
You hear me?
Yes.
You made it, brother. You're on Trash Talk.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God, Richard. It's like, I've been waiting so much for, like, talking to you. It's like dating a hot girl.
I certainly hope it isn't.
But you can't break up with me.
No. Hey, if I'm the hot girl in this equation, we'll have a pity fuck. That's what this call is. We'll have a pity fuck together. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll take it.
Hey, fucking, we all would take it, brother. That's how it works. So you want to talk about the Fnatic lineup? I'm super psyched to hear what you're gonna say. So let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's what's going on with Fnatic. It's not really good for the players, not actually the organization, because I think the part of the team that wants to leave is not a better part of the team. Like, I think XPK is like decent. Is like the strongest. Well, not the strongest. Reckless is the strongest, but Peke is solid. But Soaz and Cyanide aren't in their best form right now. Like, they were the best at their time, but they're not in their prime right now. So if they leave Fnatic, and Fnatic is a big organization. It's like one of the most known esports organization out there. Yeah. So like, I'm a
huge fan. I'm a huge fan of them. I've been a fan since I got into esports. As soon as I discovered Fnatic, it was like, yeah, man, this is a legit European organization. They've always had great players in like almost every game. Huge fan of Fnatic, absolutely.
Yeah, so you're living in this big organization for like who knows what, and you'll have to compete in the expansion tournament, and you like have like 3 weeks to find a bot lane, because I've heard that Yellowstar won't be going with them. So like, you're leaving all these resources for an unknown team. You're not sure to get back to the LCS. Because there are other good teams out there that have been playing with each other more, like, because you don't have a bot lane.
Yep.
So, and if you won't make it to the LCS, who knows when you'll get a chance to get back? Like, look at other good players who didn't make it, like I won't say Ocelot, but
Yeah, no one would, dude.
but you like have players like Freeze, like Alexic,
Yeah.
and they like, where's Alexic now? Like, who the fuck heard about him? Like when he wanted to make his super team, but now he's not anywhere. Like he wanted to stream, but no one watches his streams, so he's got washed out and was a legend. So, dude.
Look,
Come on.
I'm with you on this, right? I think okay, so look, I'm gonna drop because you've called in, and I know you've been trying to call in for ages. We're talking about a subject that I was actually really happy to talk about. So I'll drop some shit on you right just now, just me and you talking. Obviously, there's people watching, probably. I don't know, whatever, right? Like I always like to imagine I'm just alone in a room. That's how I do the streaming, and it also excuses my drinking. But I have been, really looking at the whole Fnatic situation. So get this. Apparently, the Fnatic Reckless thing, apparently he's going. This is what everyone's saying at the moment. Like it's
going, you mean leaving the team or going with the team?
He's gone.
Okay.
Apparently it's like as close to done as done can be. I think the paperwork could even be with Riot, and it's waiting on Riot's approval. It's meant to be a done deal. That's the word on the street. Now again, and I'll always tell you guys, the word on the street, especially in League of Legends, it can fucking change. But what's interesting is Fnatic really wanted to keep XPK because they had no idea. They didn't see it coming that he would want to leave. But here's where it gets even more interesting. So again, word on the street, players talking amongst themselves. Everyone's saying XPK doesn't want to play with SOAS anymore. Apparently him and Cyanide are bros, so that might still happen. But XPK is super locked into the idea of trying to create his own team, his own organization. And if that doesn't come off, he just wants to get a massive paycheck somewhere, possibly NA, but somewhere nice. Again, this is what people are saying. Now, I love XPK. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him and meeting him a bunch of times. We've had beers. He's a great guy. I wouldn't begrudge him if that was true, and I certainly hope if he stumbles across this video, he's not upset about it. But here's the thing. So Fnatic are poised to lose pretty much everyone apart from SOAS.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because think about it. So, okay, so if the Reckless deal is done and he might be going, and XPK's like, well, I don't give a fuck now, I'm going to go, then, and he's going to take Cyanide with him, Reckless wants to play with Yellowstar, I think, ideally. I think if he does leave, I don't know how realistic that's likely to be. Because, for example, if he goes to Alliance, the rumor is they're going to give Nif another season. All the talk about the Crepo deal and everything else is gone cold. But Fnatic are going to be left with SOAS. And it's even got to the stage where one of the words, again, on this street that I keep talking about is that maybe the new Dexter team that's being talked about for Copenhagen Wolves could even be a potential new Fnatic.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's how crazy shit is at the moment. Fnatic totally didn't see any of this shit coming, dude. It's really caught them cold. And I can't help but be sympathetic to the organization. But equally, by the same token, shit, man, you got always have a plan B. Always have a plan B.
Yeah.
So
I'm sympathetic to Fnatic too. Do you think it might be a PR stunt? Like, I'll tell Reddit that I'm leaving the team so that Fnatic will pay me more to keep me on the team, or maybe like kick SOAS because I don't like him, and bring another player who I do like. Like, can he leverage that? Do you think that's
possibly? I mean, the thing is, for me, it's really interesting that everyone's saying that XPeki and SOAS don't want to play with each other anymore, mainly from XPeki's side of that particular fence. But why anyone would want to play with Cyanide right now, I don't get it. He's looked really poor.
Yeah, lately. I know, but I think it's like a bros kind of thing. Like, they've been playing like from season 1, I think, together.
Hey, we saw CLG.eu. That was all about bros. But there comes a point where you got to put your career first. Like, League of Legends career, it's like 3-4 years long. You can be bros afterwards. Fuck it, be bros after.
I
Get
know.
paid, win things, be bros when you're retired. You know.
I think you're right, but at the same token, Fnatic like got the second place in Europe, so they're not like bad. Like they have a good team. It's like, and they got to Worlds. They had not the best performance there, but they had a nice performance. Another aspect to that is like everyone saying that like having a synergy between mid and jungle is a good thing, and now like Peke will have to synergize with a new player, so it will be hard for them, and having like the strongest link in Fnatic, which is the bot lane, like breaking up is another thing. So Fnatic will like have a really massive blow
Well,
to
they
their
do.
team.
And I mean, I gotta say, so there's almost like 3 future Fanatics right now, and that is there's a Fnatic where Xpeke goes, and I think Cyanide goes with him, so they're left with Soaz and only Soaz. Then there's a Fnatic where they keep Reckless and Yellow Star, but everyone else goes, and then there's a Fnatic where it's like, or everyone goes, and maybe they persuade Dexter or some other unknown quantity to keep Soaz.
That might possibly be a thing. I think that if the like everyone, like Peke and the others will leave, I think that keeping Soaz is not a good thing. I mean, the guy's a good guy, but it wasn't. It is lately is underperforming a lot. Like people arguably say from season 3. So, like if you bring new blood to the team, maybe it'll help. I'm not convinced, because like Fnatic is used to showing up with big results.
Yeah.
And now
They
have,
should be. They should be. They're like the elite organization in Europe. I mean, let's be honest. Historically, in Europe, you know, Fnatic have always been up there. They need to aim high, and they should have great fucking players on their roster. I do not understand how it's got to a situation where we're potentially talking about all change at Fnatic. Like, 1 or 2 players, sure. Some of the old guard getting pensioned off, or maybe becoming coaches, sure. But they had almost in many ways a perfect blend, you know? Like, Alliance is a really good blend too, but Fnatic had lots and lots of potential. I think Yellow Star transitioned into one of the strongest supports in the region. Reckless was hands down the best AD carry in the region. Xpeke had a bit of a lackluster season, showed up at Worlds. I think Soaz is one of the greatest top laners of all time. The only weakness, really, that you could say was the jungler, and they tried to address that. They talked to Spirit, the Korean, about possibly bringing him in to replace Cyanide. So now they stand to lose it all. Like, literally, it's insane. It's the most insane thing I think that's ever happened in League of Legends.
Yeah, you know what? Like, why I think that's happening is because the players have too much powers in their hands. Like, if they had like a really strong manager that would have said like, no, you are replaceable, not the team. Like, if you want to go, we'll find someone else. And like, they won't have a leverage, the players, because now they have a huge leverage. They have the like Peke is saying, well, fuck this, I'm not playing with this guy. You find me another player or I'm out. And
Yeah.
well, that shouldn't be the case. Like, you're the big organization, you're the big name. Okay, Peke created a big name for himself, but like, this guy is gonna control your entire team. Like, really? Like, I mean, I love Xpeke. I think he's a great guy. I've seen his videos and stuff.
Yeah.
But still, you're an organization. Sorry for my English. I'm from Israel.
No. Dude, your English has been brilliant, actually. I think you've been better than some of the English people we have on this show. Definitely
you.
better than Sam's. He's my fucking producer.
I quit. I'm out.
By the way, Sam, I want to apologize for like nagging you on Skype. Like I'm sending him 50 messages a week.
That's what we want. We want people to do that. Seriously,
Yeah, okay.
harass the shit out of Sam.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite. Go on, everyone do it.
Yeah,
I will.
seriously.
I even
Makes
wrote
it
him a
much
song.
easier to organize, I promise.
So here's just one thing before I let you go, right?
Okay.
So if I was ex-Peke, right, like, look, do I? Oh, right, I'm going to say it. Yeah, look at Sam said, do it. Right, okay, so I'm going to say this. Ex-Peke's tried to leave Fnatic before. I don't think a lot of people know this. He's tried to create his own organization before. Fact. So, this shouldn't have necessarily been a surprise to the organization. Shouldn't be a surprise to any of the people who are clued in the industry. At one point, Ex-Peke, I imagine he got financially reimbursed to stick around quite heavily. But he tried to leave, and, you know, they should have anticipated that he might do it again. Now, if he cannot find the sponsors and the people to fund him and to help him create his own organization, if I was him right now with the Voyboy news, bang, I'd be on the fucking phone to Curse today. They got money to burn. Fuck it. Go get paid out in NA. That's what I would do.
Yeah, but I don't think he wants to leave Cyanide, and that's the real issue. Like, is preferring to play with a arguably washed up legend than like that his best friend rather than win. I think that's like Reckless mentioned that like they don't have motivation to win because Cyanide is not a world-class jungler. I mean, sorry, Cyanide.
No, you're right. But then again, and I'm just going to put this out there, I will dominate. The most ironic name in fucking League of Legends history. I'm not. He's probably better than Cyanide, but I don't think they'd lose too fucking much. Really.
Well, you're right, but do you think that team can like make it to Worlds with that lineup? Cyanide, Peke, Piglet, Special, and Quas. Do you think that's a world-class team? Like, I think a Fnatic, like its current lineup, is better than the Curse with Cup. So, and they got to Worlds. So do you think that the team was half a team and half a team will make it to Worlds against other NA teams who have like Cloud9 and stuff?
Yeah, maybe. Look, I mean, people are already telling me I knew this would happen. People are already telling me that I shouldn't criticize. I will dominate. I don't know. He's never made me a fan. But certainly, what I will say is he's definitely better than fucking Cyanide. But I don't know if the gap's as big as some of the NA fanboys would make out. The bottom line, though, is Ex-Peke's in a good position. If Fnatic can't keep him, and this is the interesting part, everyone on Fnatic's got another year on their contract. There's all buyouts in place. I don't really know how it's going to pan out for all of these players, because technically, they can be bought out of their contracts, but equally technically, if no one's willing to do that, then they're stuck where they are. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out, but I don't think it's going to be the same Fnatic going into the next season. I think that's a very safe bet right now. And if I was Ex-Peke, I'd be looking to get paid. He's at the end of his career. He's got one split, two splits tops, I think. So time to get that big paycheck. I don't blame him. I would advise him if I was a really close friend, like I had him on speed dial. I'd advise him, fuck it, dude. Like, just take the money and run. Do not start your own organization like Ocelot, because we've all seen how that will end up. You'll start talking about, spiritual advisors.
God and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. How the planet would be better if there was more people like you. If it was Ex-Peke, actually, I mean, the planet would...
I think it will actually be a better place with more expectations.
It'd be better for women.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be better for ugly dudes like me. It'd be better. It'd be better
yeah.
for chicks. Yeah, we'd be fucked. Like, so actually, yeah, fuck Ex-Peke. Let's just stay with Fnatic.
Good looking cunt.
Yeah, thank you, Sam.
I just hope that Fnatic won't be this year's Gambit. like taking a huge name and dumping it to the curve. Like,
Do you know what? I think that's a fair prediction, brother. I think that's actually look. It pains me to say it. I'm friends with so many people in Fnatic, but if they do not get on top of what is happening in their League of Legends team, they're going to take a massive hit. They need some superstar, superstellar replacements if they're going to let all of those players go at once. That's my opinion.
yeah. Are we gonna have a second date, Richard? In the
I
future?
hope so too, man. Look, this was great. Like, we should do this every week. You're awesome. And
Thank
I don't get a lot of callers from Israel, as you'll be.
Yeah,
I mean,
I actually met Ram.
yeah, I was gonna say, other than Broken Shard, that's about it.
Yeah, Broken Shard. Yeah, we have a small community, so he's like a superstar, and everyone admires him.
Oh God, I bet he milks that for all it's worth. Yeah, that's classic Ram. But look, dude, it was great to hear from you, and certainly call in any time. I'll make sure Sam puts you on this whitelist, and
Yes,
we'll get you on again.
I
In the
got
future.
in. I got in. Yeah.
You're in the club, brother.
Thank you.
Hey, anyways, have a great night, man.
Thank you, Richard. Good
No
night.
worries. Anytime. Take care. So there we go, all the way from Israel. We're talking about Fnatic being in a fucking absolute horrible place. And look, I got to be honest. I think they are, Sam. I mean, I hate saying this because I got so many friends in the organization, and I've been a big fan of the organization down the years. And I interact with the guys whenever there's interactions to be had. It does make it awkward when I say things like this. And it's so rare I have anything bad to say about Fnatic. But in this instance, the League of Legends team the whole thing's a clusterfuck.
Yeah, the thing I'm wondering about is who is their support staff? Like, I remember at the end of Season 3, they got rid of Harry, right? Who was like a big part of the team. He was one of the bros that everyone's saying.
Yep.
Then, I just remember a huge gap. They brought in Aranea for a month, maybe, and then he left. So, like, do they have analysts? Do they have coaches? Because I haven't heard of them. Do you know if of Fnatic's analysts or anything? Maybe that's why they're so
They do
happy
have
to
them.
leave.
They do have them, actually.
What, both?
Yeah, they're just not like high profile guys.
Oh, alright, okay. Because that's why I thought they were annoyed with the organization, eager to leave. Maybe because of the lack of the support.
No, I don't think it's anything to do with that. I think this is okay. Basically, the people that are looking at leaving Fnatic, of which, you know, we've talked about Soaz potentially leaving. I mean, he's not one of them. Like, he loves Fnatic. He wants to stay there. I imagine Cyanide does as well, but he'll do what his bro Xpacky wants. Xpacky, like I say, he's a very smart guy, actually. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about him. I think a lot of people presume someone that good looking can't actually be intelligent, but he is. And he realizes, you know, fuck, man, like, I can make probably way more money out of this game. I think one of the things that's probably been weighing quite heavily on him, there was the Azubu deal. He lost, you know, personally, I don't think he was really happy with that.
Yeah.
Having to stream on Azubu. He had a great setup on Twitch. Now, you know, I've seen his numbers. They're not great. So I think that's part of it. But equally as well, he knows he's got a very limited amount of time to maximize his earning potential from this game. And I can't necessarily blame him for wanting to explore those options.
Yeah, we talked about this when we were talking about Koreans going to China. Esports is very much a just grab what you can and run kind of industry. You haven't got long to do it.
Yeah, not necessarily esports as a whole, but League of Legends definitely lends itself to that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, well, think about it. How many like original pros are still playing right now? You could probably count them on one hand, definitely two.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone's always retiring and shit, and it's like, you know, fuck, it's been 4 years. What the fuck are we talking about? You know, this is why another reason why it's not comparable to real sports. But anyway, I definitely think that you know, I think Fnatic are in a very fucking transitional phase, is putting it nicely. Yeah. They've really got to explore a lot of options and quickly. If they can keep hold of Xpacky somehow, I think that's good from a popularity standpoint. I don't know if it's good from a team standpoint, because when you put someone in the golden handcuffs, it's not always the best option. But I think Reckless will be gone. Yeah, like, certainly they're going to lose Xpacky or Reckless. It's one of the two at least. It's got to happen that way. The idea of those 5 guys somehow coming through all of this and staying together, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just so unlikely. Anyway, last caller. So line them up for me. Who are the best of the rest?
Apparently, this guy's taking a day off to be on the show of work.
Right. Good
He
sob
wants-
story.
And he wants to talk about Voyboy and pro players taking the route of streaming.
Yeah, do you know what? I was going to write an editorial about this, so maybe this fucker will give me some ideas, and then I can just regurgitate his ideas and get paid. So yeah, let's bring him on. What's his name?
His name is Seth Augsburger.
Probably is a fake name,
Yeah, that's right.
but hey, is that Seth?
This is.
Yeah. Really? Are you called Seth Augsburger?
Yes, that is my real name.
Awesome. Good. Glad to hear it. So you want to talk about Voyboy?
I want to talk about Voyboy and then the overall. Summoning Insight actually did a thing on it where they're talking about how sponsorships are going to have to get bigger in the actual competitive scene to make up for the fact that people are making more money streaming as opposed to actually being on a competitive team.
Yep. Do you know what, Seth? I woke up today. I had my breakfast. I watched, Guardians of the Galaxy again on DVD in my pants. Then at about 2 in the afternoon, I thought time to do some work. So I did some work. And at some point while I was doing that work, a thought entered my brain. And the thought was I should probably write an article about the fact that streamers are actually earning way more fucking money than competitive players. And if I was a competitive player that had maybe, I don't know, had a few questionable seasons, like, hadn't been the best for a while, like, for example, I don't know, I'm a Cutie Pie or Voyboy, and had come under some criticism, I'd be thinking, why the fuck do I want to practice 8 hours a day, and then I got to stream because my contract says so, but I'm streaming on a platform that, I'm not hitting big numbers, and I'm not making a lot of money, and it's... Like, I'd just be like, fuck this shit. Actually, I'll cut the playing out, stream more, make bank. That's what I'd probably do.
And I mean, right now, that's definitely a valid option, but I think they made a valid point in the show that they said that, you look at some of the other stuff like StarCraft, stuff like that, where they started to bring in, or I guess it was in StarCraft when they talked in there, they talked about Brood War bringing in bigger sponsors and stuff like that. And I think with this year's Worlds, with how big it was, I'm thinking that I very much agree with them where they're going to bring in some big sponsor names. Maybe you'll see things, I know here in the States you'd be seeing Verizon, Comcast, things like that, big telemarketing frames. And I mean, look at Samsung. Samsung got a huge spike from them winning Worlds.
Yeah, definitely. So here's something that's been said in chat, Seth. Usually I address the chat. I want you to address this guy in chat. So he said Voyboy did not, capitals, Seth, capitals. Okay, this guy's serious. Right, did not quit because of streaming money. It has nothing, again, capitals, nothing, to do with money. Nothing. Zero. It's got nothing to do with money. If he wants more money, he would go back to school for his, again, capitals, medical degree. Right? Come on, Seth.
I mean,
drop
that's
some
definitely
knowledge on this guy.
Well, I'm not gonna say I'm super knowledgeable about this. I mean, I just looked this up prior to getting on your show. I was looking up things to talk about, and that was a huge thing that spiked my interest because I'm a big Curse fan. Also, speaking of Curse, I'd like to give a personal apology to you for the way they acted and treated you when you were announcing news and stuff like that.
Don't you dare apologize on behalf of that piece of shit. Don't you fucking dare.
Well, I mean,
Curse fans are
it's
great. Curse is a great organization, but holy shit, Liquid acted like a fucking dick. And that ain't on you, so thank you.
I know it's not on me, but I mean, it's something that, I mean, personally, I think this goes into a different subject altogether, and I'm just going to make it a brief topic. Us as the fans need to stick up for the voice of the people that are talking. I mean, you as a journalist, Thorin as a journalist. I mean, Thorin got crushed by TSM, like absolutely crushed to where he lost his job for a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's depressing as a fan. You know, I'm not a TSM fan. I never have been, never will be. I've always thought of them like the Patriots of the esports scene. You know, oh, they won a lot of stuff. Let's jump on the bandwagon and join that team as a fan. But I mean, as an overall, we as the fans hold a responsibility to you guys personally to say, hey, this isn't right. You shouldn't be. Witch hunting is the best word that we use now for the Reddit community. These people that are trying to do good. And I mean, Thorin was a really good journalist. I'm glad I found you. I found you actually through Thorin's Twitter because Thorin went off the grid and it was...
I owe Thorin a beer. But no, here's the
But
thing, Seth. Here's the thing for you, right? So I was coming back from the Fragpite Masters on this weekend. Me and Thorin took the train together. We were in the same hotel. We were actually next door. But we didn't necessarily have a lot of time to spend with each other because, the nights were late. We were, kind of hanging out for a little bit now and then for a couple of beers, but it wasn't a lot of time. But we got a train back with each other. So we had a long talk on the train. It was like, 20, 25 minutes. We were talking about it. And I asked him, like, what was it that actually cost you your job? What was it what was the nail in the coffin? Because Thorin's had many coffins with many nails put in. Nothing's ever put him down. This is the first time he's actually lost the job because of community backlash. And I presumed that when we were on a show together when he stormed off the show, but it wasn't that. It was the wild turtle retard tweet because he used the word retard.
It's so sad. I mean, I jokingly said it in your chat where you said something was retarded, and I'm like, uh-oh. It was during the Saintvicious call, so it was like, uh-oh, Thorin's toxicity showing here in the
but it's true, dude.
Toxicity call. But I mean, it's a word we all use. I mean, it's just like the whole, when you destroy somebody in a game of COD or something like that, it's like, oh, they got raped. It's not legitimately saying, oh, we bent them over the table and raped them legitimately. It's hey,
and not only that, we support rape as a criminal act.
Support as yeah, it's not a bad thing. Rape victims are asking. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that you got destroyed. I mean, I've had games in League where I looked at it and like, man, I just got raped. Like, I guess.
Yeah,
it's one of those things.
It was insane because we talked. I said we talked about it on the train. He was just like, look, he goes, what people don't realize, and like this is the thing. Duncan's never the kind of guy to come out and ever fucking apologize for anything he does. He just accepts the consequences, and then he moves on to the next thing. But he said, what people don't realize was, like, I was super fucking tired because they were getting up at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to do that daily show for the Worlds. So obviously they had to be he lives in the UK. So he had to be awake in line with Worlds. I mean, fuck, I missed some Worlds games myself. There was no way I was getting up at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. But that morning he woke up for the TSM games, and they were doing that show. And he was just really tired. And he's like, he said, I probably worded it a little bit clunkily because I didn't want to say Wild Turtle is a retard. I was just trying to make out that actually, he's got like this fucking shit decision making, process. And it's what holds him back. And Lucian is a retarded champ. And it was just like, it was a garbled tweet that he put out publicly, which kind of does make a point, but it just wasn't worded ideally. You've got 140 characters on Twitter anyway. So at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m., like, the idea of being succinct and making a fucking good point is ludicrous. So we laughed about it, dude, but it was like, the idea, like, I can't even conceive of being brought into a fucking office one day or having a Skype call with a boss and them saying to me, you worded this tweet really badly, so now you're fucking fired. 10 years of esports work, and now you're back to ground zero.
And that's the thing, too, is like Thorin has I'm sorry we've deviated from the topic that we originally had.
No, but it's fine, dude, because this is a great call, Seth, so I'm glad you called in, man.
I actually, like I told him, and this is a legitimate thing, I'm actually on vacation right now. I took time away from my vacation and time off work to actually try to get on here. I was going to get on here last week, but we were actually in Roswell, New Mexico, doing a bunch of stuff, and you caught me off guard because I thought you normally are on Wednesdays, not Tuesdays.
Whoa. Let's just stop esports talk for a minute. So you were in Roswell.
Yep.
Were you out there relating to UFOs?
Yeah, definitely.
So what were you doing?
UFO museum, shit like that. We actually went to a theater and watched, I can't remember what movie it was, but they had a really cool, like, it was a 4D theater where the chairs all moved in a fight. It was the new movie with Keanu Reeves, which was interesting because of the fact that during the fight scenes it would rock back and forth. But I mean, we did a lot of stuff with the UFOs. We drove out, saw the museums and whatnot, all the little shops.
Were you trying to find aliens or?
Yeah, maybe.
That's okay. Tell me. The thing is, like, you can't really talk about aliens, and I'm sounding crazy. But like, I gotta say, like, obviously, there are other life forms out there in an infinite universe. That just goes without saying.
Yeah.
But like, were you on one of those, like, looking for the sky? Did you try and communicate with them or anything like that?
I can neither confirm. No, I didn't really get a chance to go out and beam my message up. Well, I'll save that for when I go and where's it at? I can't remember the blackmail box. The chat will probably say where that's located at. But anyway, I'll go communicate with that and whatnot. Out
Good,
by
man.
area.
No. Fucking should get me involved in this. I've always wanted to talk to aliens. I spend so much time in esports talking to people that don't get me. I think I'm ready for a new life form. Like, honestly, I think I might be.
I mean, maybe there'll be a League of Legends team. They'll appear somewhere. They'll go to China with all the money and make a team there.
but back to Earth for a moment.
Back to Earth.
Yeah, League of Legends. We'll move away from the Thorin stuff and we'll get back to what you're talking. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, the big thing with that is they're going to have to get bigger sponsors to stop this because it's very apparent. I mean, you said you were writing an article about it, and you can see it from a mile away. People you've got a guy named Trick2G who makes about $2,000 every week. I think is what I was reading somewhere along the lines, and it's like he doesn't even have the time. He doesn't even stream. He streams his followers, his subscribers. He'll take bronze, everyone that's in bronze in his subscribing group, and play them against plat people in a subscriber group. And it's like, the guy's making bank.
Yeah.
He's making more money than these pros that are, dedicating and doing it as their job.
Do you want to know what's funny? So I put a post in that, like, I don't know if you saw that Night Blue thread that was on the front of Reddit.
No, I did not.
Oh, yeah. Well, Night Blue basically was like, hey, everyone in the League of Legends subreddit. I have realized that some of you have written bad things about me because, like, he reported Cutie Pie in a game, like super salty, right? Yeah. So, like, there was a mini drama on that, which, by the way, was totally fucking stupid. But there was a bunch of negative
thing.
yeah, exactly, right. There was a bunch of negative threads about it, right? So everyone was like, "Oh, fuck Night Blue," and that was retarded. That was dumb. But anyway, like, obviously he'd seen some form of impact on his, like, whether it was his streaming numbers or he was worried about the bad publicity. And he created this bullshit Reddit thread, right? Which was like, hey, League of Legends subreddit, you are the perfect people to tell me not only how to be a better streamer, but a better person. And I was like, oh my God, really? We're asking this subreddit for fucking advice about how to be a better person?
Reddit for advice. That's a big problem.
Like, seriously, it's like asking Hitler for fucking diversity training. It's so fucking stupid. So anyway, after I posted something in that thread along the lines of, lol, that the desperate PR move is real. And his an associate of his, a PR manager, wink, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, added me and was like going, oh, why are you saying bad things about Night Blue? No, like this. Like, I was just like, well, it's just some fake ass bullshit, right? And he's going, no, he makes so much money from this, he has to care. He has to have Reddit think he's a good person. He has to. And then they revealed how much money they were making. And the number they said, could be bullshit, but the number they said was it was like 1.2 million a year.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Holy shit indeed, dude. How does a fucking competitive player get close to that?
Like I said, I feel the league has to step up with sponsors. I feel like we have to start bringing in big name sponsors that can bring big money. I remember Riot's thing too is another thing they could do is bring the community into it, like Dota and Smite has done. I mean, Smite's made shit tons off this Odyssey. I'm not sure if you're keeping up with Smite at all, but they've got this thing called the Odyssey where you buy, in-game stuff, and each time you get so many treasure chests and unlocks a new, exclusive only through the Odyssey icon, whatever it may be. And League, when they did that with Dota, League was like, oh, it shouldn't be about the money. It's like, come on, guys, really? Like, your game's really good. I've been playing League, God knows how long, 4 years, something along those lines.
But here's the thing, though, dude. It speaks volumes, right? Like, let's look at the Night Blue situation again. It speaks volumes that, right, he's never going to play competitive. Never. I don't, that's never going to happen. But the top competitive team in NA, the top competitive brand, which is TSM, no disrespect, Cloud9 fans, it's just a reality. They wanted to attach their name to him when he was pulling in 60k, 70k on his streaming numbers. They even said, oh yeah, he's a sub now. He was never going to play a game. Like, never. It was never going to happen from now until the end of time. And this is what I mean. They're looking to just bring how can we hitch our wagon to what's popular? And it turns out that you can be a popular streamer in a competitive game without even being vaguely, seriously competitive in the traditional sense. And Nightblue is like one of the guys who's fucking probably has made serious bank. I mean, Christ, every day he must wake up and just get down. There must be an altar to Twitch in his room. He must pray to that fucking many times a day because they've given this guy serious bank. I mean, even if this dude who added me was bullshitting, like even if it's half that amount, like holy fucking shit, that's crazy.
It's nuts. And I mean, there may not be a way to stop it. I was kind of thinking of what they said on Something Insight, where it was like there needs to be bigger sponsors, and I mean that's a good step. I think also community involvement, like the Dota thing.
Yeah.
Stop getting off your high horse, Riot. You know the little Ari figurines that came out in Korea, where they were only able to buy one if they were there. Make it so pay X amount of dollars. Maybe make it so it's more than it's obviously has to be more than the figurine itself to actually make a profit off of it. But I mean, send out gift packages to people.
Yeah,
you have a huge community behind you. Let them put their dollar where their mouth is and make it big, make it huge. Why not?
So here's my final point and question to you, Seth. I mean, are you worried about? I don't know. Like, do you think we've kind of maybe peaked in terms of competitive League of Legends, and what's going to happen is with all the money that's available in China, that all the Koreans are running out to get, with all the money that's available in streaming that the North Americans are going to go out and get. Like, are you worried that the overall competitive, nature of the game is going to decline? And like, God forbid, imagine if Europe came out as the strongest region.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, imagine.
I can definitely see that. I mean, honestly, it's one of those, it's a big fear. Korea, I follow more Korean LoL than I do North American LoL, and I mean that's a huge boon to the fact that we've got these people running off to get China money, and I hope they get paid. I agree with your point when they were talking about the China in general, where they were. I mean, it's large sum of money, and if you don't get paid, what's on the books with Riot to say, hey, you made sure to guarantee him that money, right? Maybe not. Who knows? Let's see how they actually perform. Yeah. But I think that places need to step up. I mean, Korea needs to step up as an overall whole and pay people real good money to actually get good players. I mean, they've done it before. I don't think they really had a reason to till now, because they were like, you could replace people. Dandy quits, you could get Kakao, but now Dandy quits. The only person that's as good as Dandy is arguably Kakao. I mean, and Kakao's already going over to some Chinese team, or rumored to be going over to a Chinese team, and it's like, there's not, the talent pool isn't as deep as it once was, or at least not big names, not big like backing behind it. You could try to raise a new talent and hope that you get the next Faker, the next Dandy, or Imp, whoever you want to, Mata, whoever you want to sit in that slot. But it's a risk, as opposed to before. The talent pool was so deep, especially with the two sister teams, you could probably pull from your sister team. Now that it's only one, they have that option more readily available, but I don't know. I feel like money has to start flying from different organizations soon, and the competitive scene needs to get bigger sponsors to make it so, hey, we can generate more money than what you can make streaming, especially if you win. I mean, that would raise the competitive edge exponentially.
Well, look, Seth. My producer on the brain, he just messaged me on Skype. No problem. Seth, I'm very much on your fucking side on this. I think the only way you're going to de-incentivize putting a focus on streaming is by obviously offering more to kind of be a pro player. So it's interesting. I think we're in it again. This is one of the beautiful things about the evolution of League of Legends. It's like the only thing that pains me about League of Legends is the fact that Riot run it. Otherwise, I love it. Yeah. I love it from the fucking ground up, right?
And I mean, I've been one of those people that's blindly followed Riot, and the more I look at it, the more I look at it from your side, the more I look at it from Thorin's side, the more I look at it as an actual looking into it. It's fucked up. It's fucked.
Yeah.
That's all there really is to say about it. I mean, it's hard to say, oh, I'm on Riot's side, that's this whole change of... I really wanted to tell that guy who was like, oh, the change of the patch, and it's weird that it's in between. That's the thing that throws me. But I mean, they've done patches before, but that doesn't make up for the fact that it's still fucked. I mean, it's not...
of course. I mean, it's classic in that sense, but you know, it's like I totally agree with you, dude. I hope we can find the happy medium. I know there's money in esports. I know there's money associated with League of Legends, and what we need to do is kind of ensure that it trickles out evenly, so regions, organizations, whoever it may be, or indeed streaming platforms, don't effectively draw away the best talent into their own little vortex. Anyway, Seth, just before you go, I'm going to tell you, add me on Skype. I want to know more about aliens.
All right, we'll definitely do.
Educate me, brother. Thanks a lot for calling in. It means a lot to me that you would take the time off work to come on the show, and I hope to hear again from you in the future.
I hope I can. You take care, man.
Yeah, you too, brother. Take care. So there you go. That was Seth. Perhaps the most dedicated person ever on Trash Talk, Sam.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I thought we were just going to go into alien talk for a bit.
I was this close, man. I was this close, because let's be fucking honest. Like, you know, esports is fun, but alien life forms, dude. Like, now I really want to talk about that shit. Like, I don't know. I'm half tempted. Do you want to do like an extra hour? Just call it alien talk. We'll make some fucking. You know, I don't know if it was just the drugs talking, but I've been to other dimensions and met other life forms. So I've got lots to talk about there. I've met people that were just blue, dude.
What?
You know, yeah.
Jesus, take the wheel. I'll just watch.
No. We can't. Twitch will shut me down. But
the NSA will be in.
Anyone who's you know, done ayahuasca, they know about the blue people. We all know. But no, he was cool. We should get him back all the time.
All right.
Like, so
pretty much regimented every show now with about 10 people. Like
I was gonna say this is the problem. It's gonna be the same 10 callers. Yeah, but he's a special caller, dude. He's like so special.
Well, just
like,
have an alien segment.
Anyone who you ask the question. So, when you were in Roswell, were you trying to communicate with aliens? And he goes, "I cannot answer that question." That's the fucking guy. That's the guy.
That's him.
Yeah, that's
Seth Augsburger. That's why he changed his name, probably. I can't talk for much longer.
The government wanted me. Yeah, they wanted me. So, what are your thoughts about that, anyway, Sam?
The streamer thing, yeah.
No, I mean alien life.
Oh,
no, of course the streamer thing.
I think the main reason that Voyboy wanted to go, and obviously he's doing it for money. Like anyone said, like if he wanted money, he'd go back to his medical degree. Yeah, after 7 years, fuck me.
It's because medical school is so easy compared to streaming. And like going, oh, so I don't use Singed because he's kind of overpowered. Hey, see ya, nerds. Oh, I've just made the same amount of money as a doctor. Like, is this fucking serious? Yeah. Like, oh no, he got a medical school. Of course he would.
It's obviously for money, and why wouldn't you? Like, the amount of pay they get, I guess, as again, I've mentioned this before, who cares how much they get paid? They're entertainers. Do you care how much, like, presenters get paid on TV or anything like that? Money is money. It's not like they're taking the money from you to give to them.
I don't know, dude. It's fucking crazy, man. But, like, serious, we're going to see teams fucking broke apart, man, because of all this fucking streaming money. You know, it's really going to happen like that. Like, I know Odee, when we talked about it last time, and I was talking about how, like, I'm a Cutie Pie was really doing it for the streaming money, and, like, anything else was kind of moot and tangential. And he put in chat, like, love the speculation, which, you know, it's classic Odee. It's never going to change my view of him or whatever, but I can't help but feel that it was like he looked at the Dignitas situation, the reality of rebuilding a team. Scar was going to CLG, and he just thought, you know what, man? Like, I fucking make crazy money when I stream.
Exactly.
Crazy money. It's not like I need this to have a job, you know?
It's like you can either practice 12 hours a day, or I can go piss off Nightblue by not attacking the Nexus and make twice as much. And I'd rather do that.
This same guy's arguing with me and fucking look at him. Like, he's in the chat again. Can you see
Which
him?
one? Let's bring him in.
The crazy dude. No. It's too late for that. I've had too many beers. I might not give a good account of myself. I need the aliens to help me. But look, he's like, Voyboy's been on the Zubu for a year and doesn't even have a stream following. But okay.
Yeah, why do you think he's left the Zuru?
Yeah, like he'll be on Twitch, dude. And everyone will be going, "Oh my god, Voyboy's back!" And they'll have like mad hype. But okay, you know the industry better than me. Random caller with a bright green name I can barely read.
It's not like
Possibly-
Azumu paid them to stream there or anything.
Possibly a lair. Possibly called a lair. Can't even tell. He's deliberately got his name set so bright that you can't read it. There you go.
It's drunk proof.
Yeah, it's a lair. It's a lair. Fuck this guy. What's wrong with his brain? Doesn't he realise that, like, money makes the world go round? What's wrong with you?
It's almost like people do things for money. Fuck me.
I know. Retards, eh? Anyway, Ben, I say that. Whoops. Career's over. Sam, you ran a really good show today, I must say. Even though you couldn't speak, you've done really well.
Thank you.
So I think we'll kill it there. We've ran over for half an hour, a bit longer. Again, we've compensated for the celebrity element in the show. Disappointing we didn't get into more Counter-Strike stuff. I know there's Counter-Strike guys out there. Please call in. I know there's probably people who follow the esports apart from League of Legends. You should really call in. I don't want this necessarily to be a League of Legends phone in, but it's great when it is because I love League of Legends and I got my views. We had some celebrities call in, so thanks to Odee, thanks to Richard from H2K. Thanks to everyone who called in. Thanks to everyone who watched. Thanks to all the people who subbed during the show. I don't think we've quite gone past the 100 mark yet. When we do, I'll be absolutely certain to point it out. We're super close. We're about 3 or 4 off. And I had no idea anyone would even sub. There's a show with me out there going, who the fuck would want to listen to me? Turns out, not only are there thousands of people that want to listen to me, Sam, there's 100 dickheads who are going to pay me extra. When I call you dickheads, you're my dickheads. Love all you dickheads. Mad sub dickheads. So let's kill the show there. This was Trash Talk, group therapy for angry loners. I was Richard Lewis, your host. See you next week, I imagine. First Blood tomorrow, same time. Peace out, ladies.